sounds of ESPN's 6th year of Thursday night college football. Tonight, the Music City of Nashville is the host as one of the country's top hits comes to town. Number 6, Notre Dame returns an arsenal of offensive weapons. Quarterback Ron Paulus guides the aerial assault, while a diverse ground attack punishes in powerful bursts and dazzles with speed and grace. A potent front seven returns defensively, looking to brand its mark on anyone in sight as the Irish try to rejoin the nation's elite. Here come the Commodores to a standing ovation from 42,000, the largest crowd in history here at Vanderbilt Stadium. They're getting ready to meet the number 6 team in the nation. Notre Dame will kick off ESPN's Thursday night college football season in just a moment. Built for the visit of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It's the opening game of the season for both teams. Good evening, everybody. Mike Patrick along with Mike Gottfried. It's great to have you with us. Ron Paulus came to Notre Dame preceded by the kind of hype that nobody could live up to. But make no mistake about it, he's an outstanding quarterback, and this should be the year where he fulfills all that promise.
Mike, I think you're right. Ron Paulus, when you look at him, he's been through it all. He's experienced it all here, and it's time for him to have the success that he needs. He's an excellent quarterback, and he's got a great team around him. He's got a lot of arsenal when he's got 9 senior starters on offense. Ron Paulus can hurt you a lot of different ways with his head on the field, making decisions. He has got a great arm, and he is a good running quarterback, so I think he's going to have a great year.
Their starting tailback tonight, Randy Kinder, is out. He pulled a muscle during practice, so he won't start. We'll probably see tailback by committee.
But they've got a great committee. Got Robert Farmer as the starting tailback. Audrey Denson is a wide receiver tailback. We'll see him. And don't forget Mark Edwards, an excellent fullback.
That's the story on Notre Dame for Vanderbilt. Let's go down to our good friend, the doctor, Jerry Punch.
Hey, thanks, Mike, and hello, everybody. You know, the strength of this Vanderbilt football team lies with their defense, which returns 10 of 11 starters from a year ago, a defense which set the tone in the final 2 games of 1995. They held Steve Spurrier's pass-happy Florida Gator team to 2 touchdowns in the first half down in the swamp. And then a week later, in front of 92,000 screaming Big Orange fans in Knoxville, Tennessee, they shut down Tennessee's offense until the final 3 minutes of the game when the Volunteers scored to win the game. And oh, by the way, right here a year ago in their opener, Alabama had to score with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game to seal the victory. Yeah, they've proven they can play with top 10 programs. The question is, can they prove it again here tonight? Mike?
All right, thank you, Jerry. Rod Dowhauer begins his 2nd season here at Vanderbilt. He is trying to reverse the momentum of 13 straight losing seasons. Lou Holtz coaches his 122nd game for the Irish tonight, tying him with the legendary Newt Rockne in the storied history of Notre Dame football. Notre Dame won the toss. They have deferred to the second half, and Scott Senja will kick it off for the Fighting Irish as we are set to go at Vanderbilt. Senja out of Melbourne, Florida. And that's Corey Chavis back with Damian Charlie to return the kick. Charlie at the 10. Straight up the middle to about the 27, still fighting forward for more yardage. And now for the Everstart Battery starting lineups. For Vanderbilt on offense, quarterback Damian Allen wants to establish himself as the leader. He has a good arm and can run. 5 of the top 6 receivers are freshmen, including Tavares Hogans, who was a 2-time All-Stater in Florida. Up front, senior Alan DeGraffenried has moved from tackle to guard to take better advantage of his speed. Allen brings them out for the first time. Donovan, the single setback. Now they go with the H-back. Donovan, the converted H-back. Breaks it outside, showing a little speed, and Farrell's out to the 32-yard line. For the Irish defense, Ronaldo Wynn is a 5-year senior, led the team in sacks last year with 6.5. All-American candidate Laron Cobbins has an excellent linebacking core. He had 105 tackles a year ago. And Alan Jalen Rossum became a playmaker at the end of '95. He's the only player in the secondary with more than one start in his entire career. 2nd and 6 for Vanderbilt. They know they need to run the football. Donovan again tries right tackle. Absolutely nothing there.
Mike, I think the most important thing for Vanderbilt on offense is not to turn the ball over. They've got a very young offensive football team. Damian Allen, the junior quarterback, has to be in control, not make mistakes against Notre Dame's defense and turn it over. You can't get the first down, punt the football, and let your veteran defense come on the field and see if they can stop Notre Dame's running attack.
Allen was a starter in 5 games last year, alternated with Ronnie Gordon. 3rd and 5. Hogan's was the motion man, and Allen to throw his first pass. Out of the backfield, nothing doing. Notre Dame's defense just swarming. Coming up from the corner is Ivory Covington.
Not a bad series for Vanderbilt. 3 and out, you don't want that. But again, you got a young team. Don't put them in a bad position early in the ball game. And you've got a great punter here. Try to work the field position game.
Marin Angel had a terrific season last year, 2nd in the SEC. And Autry Denson is back to get it. One of the premier return men in the country. Kick is short and bounces inside the 25, still rolling toward the 20. And Vanderbilt will down it there. For Notre Dame on offense, Mark Edwards, a complete fullback. Last year, 717 yards rushing, 25 catches, the best ever for a Notre Dame fullback. With little experience at receiver, tailback Autry Denson was shifted to wide receiver because of injuries. He'll play both tonight. And up front, all seniors except for sophomore Mike Rosenthal, a guard in a tackle's body who was a devastating run block.
Mike, this is the big question. Can Vanderbilt's veteran defense stop the run, or at least slow Notre Dame down?
Edwards, the up man in the eye, Farmer, the deep man on 1st and 10 for the Irish. And Farmer will get about 7 yards straight up the gut. Up front for the Commodores, Matt Schuckman was among the leaders in tackles and sacks last year. He's undersized but very quick. Jamie Duncan, an outstanding middle linebacker, 120 tackles a year ago, #1 for Vanderbilt's defense. Stopping the run will be critical tonight. Look for strong safety Eric Vance to crowd the line of scrimmage. He is a big hitter. 2nd and 3, the first down play, not a good sign for Vanderbilt's defense. Showing almost a 6-man front. And the fullback, Edwards, pounds his way near a first down at the 30. Jason Smith, number 93, was in on the tackle for Vandy.
Well, Mark Edwards, when you talk to the coaches about Mark Edwards, they talk about he's a 1950s type fullback. Wears a crew cut. He's like a guard. Here he's going to hit a little short trap, take it outside. Brian Boykin makes the tackle, but not until Mark Edwards gets the first down. He's a very devastating type fullback. He hurts you blocking, catching the football, and running the ball.
Says himself, I'm not great at anything, but I'm real good at a lot of stuff. First down, Irish. Paulus to throw for the first time. Gets it out and got it to Denson, who they shifted to flanker, and Denson picks up nearly 10. That's the reason they put him out there. You get the ball in his hands in an open field is extremely dangerous.
What Lou Holtz talked about, he said, I want to get the ball to Autry Denson at least 15-plus times. Now, he's going to be back at tailback. He played last year at tailback, gained 695 yards, but he has great hands. And one of the problems with this Notre Dame football team is they do not have a lot of solid receivers, so they moved Autry Denson outside.
2nd and a yard, opening possession of the ball game for the Irish. Number 80, Malcolm Johnson, is checked in as a 3rd wide receiver. Farmer as they go back to the eye. Farmer lost the football. Vandy has it at the 44. The Commodores desperately needed a break, and they got it. The recovery by Daryl Finklin, the free safety.
Mark Jeffcoat caused the fumble, number 45. And Mike, when we talked to the Vanderbilt players yesterday, they said, you know, when we have good things happen early, we seem to carry over. Here's the fumble by Robert Farmer. But when things happen bad early for us, that carries over. So they needed something positive here early for their offense to get good field position.
Let's see what they can do with it. As Donovan, the single setback. Fred Baker is the H-back on the wing, and Allen wants to throw on first down under pressure. Guns it deep, has Hogan's out there, and it's intercepted by Notre Dame, picked off by Jarvis Edison. Edison back across the 20 to the 28. He lost the football. Notre Dame has it again out at the 40. Holy cow, that baby just keeps coming loose. Cobbins finally recovered. Even though it didn't work, I thought that was a pretty good call on first down. Go for the home run.
Pretty good call, but he needed to go down to one of his check down receivers. It wasn't there for the bomb. First of all, the pass rush flushes Damian Allen out. Then he puts a high fly up there. Jarvis Edison uses his 6'4" frame for the interception, intercepts it high. Not a bad call, but you'd like to have something a little safer because you just got a turnover, and now your defense is back on the field.
And you can feel the air go out of the stadium here at Vanderbilt. No score early, first quarter, back in a moment. We play just shy of 4 minutes, no score. Both teams have a turnover.
Mike Autry Denson lines up a tailback after Robert Farmer fumbled the last ball. Denson's now at the tailback position.
And he'll get the toss. Cuts it back. Hit hard as he reached the 44-yard line. Coming up, Jamie Duncan, the middle linebacker. He always seems to be in there. The good news is he made 20 tackles against Notre Dame a year ago. The bad news is he had to make 20 tackles a year ago.
Oh, he can run, too. Dario Franklin, number 22, is out of the secondary, too. You need to find a way to frustrate Notre Dame if you're going to beat them. And then you frustrate them by getting 8 people close to the ball and stop the run. Make Ron Powell beat you.
Rakai Nelson, the freshman, number 9, is flanked to the bottom of the screen, and Paulus wants to throw. He looks the other way, throws short, intended for his big tight end, Kriplevich. He was open, but Paulus missed him.
Hey, Ron, I think that, Mike, I think the key in playing Notre Dame is Lou Holtz's mentality is he wants to run the football. And you have to stop the run because he's a power running attack first. Every now and then he'll try you deep down the field with the long pass, screens, and options. But when they throw the ball under 20 times, they're 68-2 under Lou Holtz. You have to take the run away by getting 8 in the box.
Johnson and Mosley, the wideouts. Denson, the tailback. Play action by Paulus. Throw straight over the middle. There's Kriplevich. He's got the first down this time. Kriplevich is going to be his go-to guy at least until a wide receiver emerges. Had 17 catches a year ago. Considered going pro, but is back for his senior year.
He's a 6'5" receiver. He's just going to run a dig route over the inside, which means he's going to work up the field and try to get in between the linebackers. Ron Powell with a very good throw. Eric Vance on the tackle, number 19.
And Vanderbilt wants them to throw the football. Paulus with a blind. Can't find anybody, and then throws it away. Good decision by Paulus. Emmett Mosley, the closest man to him. Got great protection, but the secondary covered beautifully.
Mike, again, you got to get him out of rhythm. If you can get him to throwing the football and then get him away from the run, I think that's the way you frustrate him and the way you beat Notre Dame. Woody Woodenhofer, the defensive coordinator, long time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Perlis, Bud Carson, they all coordinated that defense. The Super Bowl teams for Chuck Noll.
2nd and 10 for the Irish. Draw play. Breaking a tackle, Denson. First down and more, driven out at the 30 by the corner, Corey Chavis. A gain of 17.
Well, Robert Farmer can get in the doghouse with that fumble because you don't want people to fumble the football, especially early in the ball game. But Autry Denson was the tailback last year, gained 695 yards. They said, you're going to move to wide receiver. He's not sure about it, but he said, whatever's best for the team, I'll make the move. But tonight, he's making a move to try to go back to tailback. He ran right through the tackle of Eric Vance, number 19.
And Vanderbilt cannot afford to miss tackles. Mark Edwards is the single setback in a 3 wide receiver set. And he'll get the football. straight up the middle, and he's dragging Alfonso Harvey, number 92, the 290-pound sophomore, with him.
It's interesting that everybody criticizes Lou Holtz's offense. I've always thought it was an excellent offense, but now Notre Dame is going to more spread formations, but they're using the same personnel that's on the field. What that means for a defensive coordinator, tough for them to bring people off the sideline.
Second and 2. The Irish with their second possession. They fumbled it away the first time. Denson tries to cut it outside. Slips one tackle. Can't slip a second, and that's Daryl Franklin again. He has made 2 sure tackles here in the first 2 series.
Woody Wittenhofer made a decision there to crowd that line of scrimmage with 8-9 people. Notre Dame with 2 tight ends. Daryl Franklin, number 22, was able to come off the corner and make the tackle. Just not enough people to block the safety.
Vance and Franklin, very good safeties. They have very good corners. A loss of 3, 3rd and 5.
Notre Dame likes the option down here. Even though Ron Paulus is not the option-type quarterback, he is a threat.
Paulus wants to throw for it. Dumps it to his tight end. Kriplevich dives, and the second effort got him the first down inside the 20-yard line. Boy, he's a load, 6'5", 267.
When I was talking to Dave Roberts, the offensive coordinator, about Pete Kriplevich the other day, he said he's more athletic than Derek Brown and Irv Smith, the 2 great tight ends that Notre Dame had. 25 catches last year. He's a type of receiver that will move the chains for Notre Dame.
Kriplevich will get a breather. They measure, and they had it by the better part of a half yard. So Kevin Coretta, number 40, will come in for Kriplevich at tight end. Good-looking drive for the Irish. They've done it running and passing. Denson behind Edwards. Johnson and Mosley come to the near side. Denson against the run blitz, and he's stacked up in the back. Field lost maybe 2. Anthony Jordan. They brought everybody, Mike.
Well, that was great defense right there, because they waited till Ron Paulus was into his snap count so that he couldn't check off. Daryl Franklin, again, number 22, was crowding the line of scrimmage with the 8th man. Anthony Jordan, number 27, with the tackle, but real late movement by the Vanderbilt defense. Good move.
Kriplevich back into the ball game. The Irish will go with 3 wides as they now set Mark Edwards, number 44, down as the second tight end. Paulus looking for his tight end, has him open at the sideline and missed. Kriplevich initially covered, then turned it upfield, and Paulus led him too much.
He really had 2 receivers wide open. Kriplevich, number 98, but Mark Edwards is going to come open right here. You're going to see him come over the middle. He's also open. Ron Paulus just didn't pick the right receiver. See him roll out. Now look at Edwards, number 44, down the middle, open. Pete Kriplevich is open, but he just overthrew the ball. Well, Vanderbilt needs a play right here. Force Notre Dame into a field goal attempt.
This will be the 11th play of the drive. 3rd and 11. Mosley, the man in motion. Pressure on Paulus. He throws. Mosley can't make the catch at the 12. Got his fingertips on it and no more, and Vanderbilt holds.
The concern of the Notre Dame team when they came in on offense was wide receivers. Emmett Mosley had a chance at that football, didn't make the catch for Ron Paulus.
He's the only returning receiver with more than 10 catches for Notre Dame. Scott Senja will come on to try the field goal. In the last 2 years, 10 out of 13. 5 for 5 last year. This will be from 38 yards. And he missed it wide right. Huge emotional lift for Vanderbilt and a disappointment for Notre Dame after a good drive. Got them down inside the 20. Timeout, 7:04 to go. First quarter, scoreless at Vanderbilt. Both teams have squandered scoring opportunities early. Vanderbilt with a fumble recovery. They turned it over on the next play with a pass interception. Notre Dame makes a good drive and then misses a field goal. Vanderbilt takes over at the 20. Donovan hitting the backfield, can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Ron Cobbins will make the tackle.
You see Vanderbilt making a lot of moves and shifting on offense, and what they're trying to do is frustrate Notre Dame a little bit on defense to try to get them to play a base package. That's the whole idea of shifting and movement. Ron Cobbins, number 6, he didn't take any of that move. He just was able to avoid the block and make the tackle on Donovan.
Loss of a yard, 2nd and 11. Donovan again. Well, the guy that filled the hole was Cobbins, and then Corey Minor came up to make the tackle. Cobbins just rifled in there.
Ron Cobbins, number 6, he's just going to step up here and take it on in the hole. It's what you want out of the linebacker. Just take it on. He gets the block of DeGraffenried, number 75, but he's in the hole, forcing Donovan no place to go.
3rd and 9. Vandy has 6 yards on 6 plays so far. Alvin Duke comes into the backfield. They like to swing him out there. Allen throws over the middle. Tomacek, complete first down, Vanderbilt.
Allen hung in there and got pretty good protection, too.
A gain of 18.
Jason Tomacek had an injury last year and blew out his knee, and when we talked to him the other day, he said, this is a stepping stone game for me because I want to be able to return to the form I had last year. Makes a catch over the middle from Damian Allen. Number 83, Tomacek with a catch, and a big play for this Vanderbilt offense, making their confidence.
Donovan comes back in. Anytime you let an underdog hang around the way Notre Dame is right now, you give them that confidence. Back to the ground game. Donovan breaks a tackle, runs into his own man, and pounds his way out to the 47-yard line. Finally stopped by a Johnny Sanders, number 29, the strong safety. But the best run of the night for Donovan, who was a pass catcher as an H-back last year.
Last year, they used him basically as a pass catcher. You're going to see the offensive line blocking to the right. You get again DeGraffenried, number 75, their All-American candidate as an offensive lineman, pulled and made a good block.
2nd and 3 for the Commodores. Baker, the H-back on a wing. Allen wants to throw. Donovan in the flat. Can't break the tackle. Got to the 49-yard line. Corey Minor tied him up and wouldn't let him go. Maybe a half yard shy of a first down in midfield.
Like Damian Allen, the quarterback, as you watch him dump the ball off, he didn't force that play. There was nothing downfield. Was able to take Jason Donovan on a little flare route, hit him with the ball, and try to pick up some yardage. Damian Allen stayed here all summer. Last year he struggled as a quarterback, stayed here all summer. He had 90% of the offensive team was here. He got him out on his own, and they ran past Skeleton. And told us last year, Mike, that when they went to Notre Dame, they were in awe. They were spectators. They were in awe of the stadium and Notre Dame. And he says, it's not going to be that way tonight.
That happens to everybody, though, doesn't it? It even happens to broadcasters. I know the first time I went there, you just walk around and wait for the ghosts to come out of the tunnel.
Well, they put you in an old locker room, and I believe Newt was in the locker room I was in because they haven't done much to it.
It is a first down for Vanderbilt, just shy of midfield. Clock turning as we hit 4 minutes to go first quarter. Donovan. Nice little cross block, and they'll only get about a yard out of it. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Hey, you guys talking about Damian Allen. The players in the team said that Damian Allen reminds him a lot of, say, a Charlie Ward. Very, very quiet, unassuming off the field. But when he gets in the huddle, he turns it on. He becomes a leader. When we asked Damian Allen yesterday who his idol was, to no one's surprise, he said Charlie Ward. In fact, people say I look like him and act like him, and I hope tomorrow night I can play like him.
Plays anywhere near to the level of Charlie Ward, they're in business.
That's right. He's got a live arm, Doctor. I'll tell you, he can throw the football.
2nd and 9. They'll go with Donovan straight up the middle. Got about 4 to the Notre Dame 46-yard line. It'll be interesting to see if they can expose the Notre Dame secondary, if they have time to throw, like to a guy like Yoder, who was a big wide receiver, against those small guys in the Notre Dame secondary.
Well, Notre Dame has two small corners, 5'8" Alan Rossum and 5'10" Ivory Covington. You're right, Mike. You want to have time enough, but I like their game plan here in the first quarter, trying to establish the run. That will open the pass plays for them.
Alvin Duke comes in at tailback on 3rd and 6. Hogan's in motion. Here comes the pressure on Allen. He hangs in there, throws over the middle. Incomplete. Could have been caught down at the 25-yard line. Tavares Hogan's, the two-time All-Stater out of Florida, had his hands on it and couldn't catch it.
Tavares Hogan was recruited by Florida State and Notre Dame. His high school team didn't have a winning season to a senior year. They had a 7-3 record. He almost made that catch, but there's a lot of freshmen in this Rod Dalhauer offense tonight.
And what a way to start as a freshman against Notre Dame.
On national TV and in front of a nice, lively crowd.
There's Denson back at the 10. Marin Angel to punt it away. High snap. Marin Angel had to climb the ladder to get it and then shanks it off the right side of his foot. And got a break as it went inside the 20, out of bounds at the 19.
For the Fighting Irish.
27-yard punt, no return. 2:19 to go first quarter. There is no score.
A very special welcome to all of the lucky members of the Wildfire Fun Zone in the bleacher section.
If you just joined us, Notre Dame and Vanderbilt have battled to a 0-0 tie in the first quarter. The Irish take over at their own 19-yard line. Paulus has him set in the eye. And Denson bounces off the tackle and then is buried as Matt Schuckman was in on the tackle. Go back to the punt, Mike.
Melvin Dansby, he's located right here. When you get inside the 40-yard line, everybody goes punt safe, and no one blocks Melvin Dansby, but he decides not to rush. He just stands there. Would have given an effort there, may have been able to block that kick or put some pressure on the Vanderbilt punter.
Of course, Dansby was out for a year with a severe neck injury. Jamie Spencer, number 33, will check in for the first time for Notre Dame on 2nd and 9. Paulus to throw deep in his own territory. Good protection. Throws. Kriplevich can't get there. He was open in the seam of what appeared to be a zone, and Paulus missed it.
Two things, Mike. Far too much time for Ron Paulus to throw if you're Vanderbilt's defense. The front four has got to be able to get some pressure on him. You can't let him throw that long. Second thing is poor throw. I mean, you've got a guy, Kriplevich is wide open here. Look at the time that Ron Paulus has. The touch on the ball. He's got good touch on the ball, just overthrows it to beat Kriplevich. So far tonight, Paulus only 3 out of 8, 24 yards. Coretta is in for Kriplevich as they tried to get him downfield. 3rd and 9, and the crowd is back into it. Only a 3-man rush. Here's the draw. And shy of a first down is the fullback, Mark Edwards. Mark Edwards just is a hustling fullback. Lou Holtz's background, he worked with Woody Hayes at Ohio State, and Woody Hayes always liked those fullbacks that could be guards. Recruited a lot of fullbacks to Ohio State and then turned them into guards. That's the type player Mark Edwards is. He's a good, solid blocker, runs the football. He's a team guy all the way.
Notre Dame short on the first down, so they'll have to kick it away. Hunter Smith, who averaged only 36.4 yards a year ago, will kick to Alvin Duke. He waits inside his own 30-yard line. And so far, the Vanderbilt coaching staff has to be thrilled. The first quarter coming to an end, and they're in this ball game, and they have played very, very well on defense, and now Notre Dame is going to have to take a timeout. And Lou Holtz wants to know what happened.
I think what happened is the clock was down, and he didn't want to take the penalty. Mark Edwards making that decision. Look at that haircut.
ESPN has all your college football games. Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Arizona heads to Iowa to take on the 22nd ranked Hawkeyes. But first, it's College Game Day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And be sure to tune in at 3:30 for the Residence Inn College Scoreboard Show. You were commenting on a haircut.
Yeah, Mark Edwards has got that great crew cut of the 50s.
Maybe I could find some butch wax in an old box. You remember that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I've never let mine go that long.
Notre Dame to kick it away. Hunter Smith, the sophomore from Sherman, Texas, stands at his 14. Keep in mind, Vanderbilt blocked 5 punts a year ago. They are very good on special teams. They don't appear to be coming after this one, and they drop back for the return. Low line drive kick. Taken at the 21. And back to the 36, 37-yard line goes Alvin Duke, a 16-yard return after a 51-yard punt. So pretty good field position for Vanderbilt, as Ron Paulus and company have not been able to put any points on the board for the Fighting Irish.
Like Rod Dowhauer's game plan here with his offense, now I think you're going to see Damian Allen maybe sprint out a little bit more. Eventually, once you settle him down, is working on the corners, because he's a good athlete. He's got the run-pass option, and he can hurt you a little bit more. I think he can get him on the outside.
Winkler and Miller, the freshmen, are the wide receivers. And they go right to Donovan again. Nice hole up the middle, out to the 42-yard line. Pretty good interior blocking for Vanderbilt.
Well, that was the whole key of whether the offensive line of Vanderbilt could handle the defensive front of Bob Davie, the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. As they come off the ball, they get a good double team and really good blocking. I tell you, I've been really impressed with Alan DeGraffenried, number 75, the left guard. He's the best offensive lineman Vanderbilt has. He's really done a nice job here in his first quarter.
And he could easily be playing on Sundays next year. 2nd and 5. Donovan again. Not this time. Nailed as he got to the hole. Maybe lost a yard. The ball came loose, but I think it's late. Whistle blows. Now they say Notre Dame has it. The second Vanderbilt turnover, as Donovan was really stuck as he got into the hole.
Ken Tatum, number 2, I believe, is who recovered the fumble for Notre Dame. And you can't have those mistakes. This is a mistake that Notre Dame's got to make Vanderbilt pay for this one.
With 1 second to go in the quarter, Notre Dame gets its second turnover. They start from the Vanderbilt 43.
What's worse about this turnover, Mike, it's inside your own 50-yard line. Notre Dame's got a short way to go for this touchdown.
Edwards, the single setback on first down. Edwards will get the carry. Takes it outside. And horse-collared after a gain of only a yard by Jamie Duncan. The first quarter is history here at Vanderbilt. The number 6 Fighting Irish against the Commodores. It is 0-0. Quarter with the Irish and the Commodores knotted at 0. First quarter stats, not what you might expect. Notre Dame only with 73 yards in offense. Vandy with 44. 2 Vanderbilt turnovers. So far, Notre Dame hasn't made them pay for it.
That's the big statistic right now. Vanderbilt cannot afford to give the ball to Notre Dame.
2nd and 9. Denson is the tailback. He has been in there ever since an early fumble by Farmer. Play action by Paulus. Plenty of time to throw to the sideline to Johnson, driven out of bounds. About a half-yard shy of a first down by Eric Vance, the strong safety.
With Denson moving back to tailback, Malcolm Johnson now has to step up. He's a 6'5" junior and has to be the receiver to move the Notre Dame offense. Pretty good catch, pretty good throw by Ron Paulus, going to his left, getting his shoulder square, good zip on the ball.
3rd and less than a yard. Denson has the first down, or very close to it before he's pushed back. Let's see where the mark is. It's going to be very close to the sticks, and Brian Boykin, number 73, who is a very strong defensive lineman, was in on the tackle.
I'm sure what Lou Holtz is thinking right now, if he hasn't made it, he's going to go for it on 4th down. This big offensive line of Notre Dame. When you talk big, 6'7", 300, Denson running in there, good tackle, Jamie Duncan. Brian Boykin, who Woody Woodenhofer told us yesterday is the kind of player that can hang in there with this Notre Dame offensive line.
Well, Duncan is a keeper, isn't he?
Oh, he is. He can scrape off. He can run. He's 6'1", 230. Norm Parker coaches the linebackers, and this is 3 pretty good linebackers for Vanderbilt.
Won't have to make the 4th down decision by inches. It was a 1st down. Notre Dame at the Vanderbilt 32.5-yard line. Autry Denson, the single setback, and Denson will get the handoff. Vanderbilt strings it out. Denson hitting the backfield. That's Boykin. Boy, did they do a beautiful job on that.
Mike, what he did was textbook defensive lineman play. He took on the block with his inside shoulder and forearm. He was able to keep his outside arm free and just kept stringing it out. Going to see him right here at the top. See, his outside arm is free. Keeps his outside arm free. Keeps working against the block of Mark Edwards and turns the ball up and makes the play.
Rakai Nelson, number 9, checks in as one of the wide receivers. He's a freshman. He's out there with number 5, Emmett Mosley.
They better find Kriplevich, number 98, because he's been the receiver that's hurt Vanderbilt here in the 1st quarter.
Paulus to throw. Here comes the blitz. And Paulus just had to throw that one away. Kriplevich was in the area. Now there's a flag down.
Maybe intentional grounding. Could be roughing the passer, but Kriplevich was out there as a receiver.
Wasn't really close to him, though.
No.
And it's intentional grounding against Notre Dame.
Good pressure by Jamie Duncan, number 49, on Ron Paulus.
Boy, that's a big penalty.
Take a look at this. This was a tight end delay. Kriplevich is going to block and then break off the side. Yeah, I think it's a good call, Mike.
Absolutely.
Good call. That wasn't a delay. Kriplevich was not in the pass pattern. It was a 2-man route, and that's why he reacted like he did to Ron Paulus. Wasn't even sure why he was going to throw in the football.
What makes that such a huge penalty? Not necessarily the yardage, but it's also loss of down. So now it's 3rd and 26.
Well, here's where Notre Dame, you figure they're either going to run a draw or a trap or hang it up deep for one of your big receivers and see if you can get a big play. They got Malcolm Johnson, who's 6'5", just send him down the field. Or Autry Denson, number 23, let him go on a street route, see if he can hit it.
3rd and very long. Paulus with a lot of time. Now he's chased, throws short, incomplete. Through the hands of Mark Edwards, it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. And Vanderbilt holds again. Paulus, 4 of 11, 33 yards. Shades of Northwestern a year ago.
Mike, the longer you leave them around here and don't put the knockout punch on Vanderbilt, the longer they start to think they're human. There's no doubt Notre Dame's got better players, more depth in this football game, but Vanderbilt is playing inspired football. Notre Dame's helping them.
Hunter Smith to kick to Alvin Duke. His first one was a 51-yard line drive. 13:21 to go in the half, and they are fired up at Vanderbilt Stadium, the largest crowd they've ever had. High floater. Fair catch signaled for by Duke. Makes it at the 12-yard line. A punt of 37, no return. Vanderbilt will start from deep in its own territory, but they're tied with Notre Dame, 0-0.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Columbia. Healthcare has never worked like this before. And by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead.
Back at Vanderbilt, a 0-0 score. The Commodores take over at their 12. Mike, they can't afford another mistake, especially down here.
No, they can't, but they need to give the ball right back to Jason Donovan, number 42. He's their mail carrier. He's going to be it all season. Even though he had that last fumble, you got to go right back to him.
Allen drops the throw. Under pressure, sacked at the 1. And crashing in Ronaldo Wynn, who led this team in sacks a year ago. He is the strongest player on the team with 4.62 speed.
Vanderbilt tried to throw just a little controlled pass. They were trying to hit Donovan out of the backfield, but Damian Allen really didn't have time. Number 48, Ronaldo Wynn beats the block of Sean Wilson and then makes the tackle almost for a safety on Damian Allen. They've got to knock this ball out now a little bit.
I think if you got to do things over, they would go with Donovan on the last play. Donovan just trying to get a little breathing room and can't.
what you're thinking right here, if you're Rod Dowhauer, is you just want some room for your punter now. The series is messed up. The first down, Damian Allen gets sacked. Now you're trying to establish just a little bit of ground so that you get enough room for your punter to come in and play the football. Let your defense play again.
3rd and 21. Donovan is the deep back. Play action by Allen. Throws complete up to the 15-yard line. Holy cow, Tomachek makes the catch. What a gutsy call.
Good call and a good misdirection call. And this is where Damian Allen can best serve the Vanderbilt football team tonight, because when he makes that fake, as you're going to see him go out to the right, fake the ball to Donovan, now come outside. Even though it didn't fool Notre Dame Corey Bennett, number 95, Damian Allen has good enough feet to get adjusted right away and get that ball to Tomachek.
Bill Marinangel now with some room, and he'll kick to Autry Denson. So Vanderbilt escapes again, at least momentarily. Good snap this time to Marinangel. Returnable kick. Denson driven all the way back to the 35 and tripped up there. Great coverage by Vanderbilt. Vinson, the first man down on special teams. There is a flag down on the play at the 42. A 48-yard punt, a loss of 3 on the return, and the preliminary signal is against Notre Dame. And it's an illegal block.
On the return, an illegal block. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Coverage of the PGA Tour. Bell Canadian Open continues tomorrow with the PGA's newest pro in the field, Tiger Woods. He is 2 under, but 6 shots out of the lead after the first round. Second and third round coverage tee off tomorrow and Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Final round starts at Sunday at 5. That's all on ESPN. And boy, can that guy hit a golf ball.
Mike, Robert Farmer's back in the ball game, and that helps Notre Dame because it gets Denson out as a wide receiver.
Farmer will get the carry, gets it out to the 25-yard line. 0-0, 11:20 to go in the first half. Notre Dame with only one sustained drive. That was the one that resulted in the missed field goal. They went 12 plays, 40 yards, wide right on a 38-yard field goal. Other than that, this very good Vanderbilt defense has handled them well. Denson goes back to tailback on 2nd and 6. Instead, it's Edwards, the up man. He's wrapped up by Schuckman. 260 pounds, 6'4". He has a motor that never stops.
He grew up saying that he cheered for Notre Dame on every Saturday, and he said tonight's ball game is going to be a measuring stick for our defense. So they won out 2 out of their last 4 games last year, gained some momentum in a close game with Tennessee
and with Florida.
And they believe they're pretty good on defense.
Farmer is back in on 3rd and 6. They go with 3 wide receivers. The single setback is Edwards. Paulus under some pressure, throws over the middle, almost intercepted, intended for Kriplevich, but Corey Chavis had his hands on it. Holy cow, what a performance by the Vanderbilt defense.
Bad. Corey Chavis, number 4, is going to make a great play here, but you're going to watch this route. Pete Kriplevich is going to work up the field. Now he's going to try to dig route inside, but Corey Chavis just stays right with him, deflects the football, almost intercepted that football.
Vanderbilt already has a fumble recovery. Alvin Duke waits at his own 30 for the punt of Hunter Smith. Better kick this time. Duke, straight up the middle across the 40. .10:01 to go in the first half. The believers are growing by legion here at Vanderbilt. It's 0-0. Now 1 to go in the half. Notre Dame Vanderbilt, 0-0. The aerial shots tonight from the Goodyear blimp. They've been providing those aerial views over major sporting events for 30 years. Vanderbilt only with 48 yards in total offense so far and 2 turnovers. But the defense is hanging in there with them. Allen throws out to Miller. Miller makes the catch to the 48-yard line. Wrapped up there by Ivory Covington.
You got to eventually try Notre Dame's corners. They're both young guys. They're both small. Covington is a junior. Rossum, we talked about 5'8". You got to be able to work outside. Even though you have freshman receivers, you got to try to put the pressure on the 2 Notre Dame corners.
And some good freshman receivers, too. Miller, all-state first team in Texas. He's out of Highland Village. Caught 78 passes a year ago. Donovan didn't have much of a chance that time. May have lost a yard back at the 47-yard line. Melvin Dansby up from the corner. He has really become a playmaker on this defense.
Came inside. You see the movement inside. He beat the block of Alan DeGraff and read number 75. Got across his face and made that tackle. Out of Birmingham, Alabama. Auburn and Alabama did not recruit him.
Uh-oh. Alvin Duke checks in on 3rd and 5. Here comes the blitz. Allen rolls away from a good protection, and then he's sacked back at the 40-yard line. The pressure finally came from Burt Berry, the outside linebacker, who switched from the drop to the rush linebacker this year. The 2nd sack by Notre Dame.
Bob Davie, the defensive coordinator, seen enough of this offense to know that he can handle this offense. Now it takes time to blitz. Brings Burt Berry off the corner, number 13, to make the tackle.
Well, they did a pretty good job of blocking the blitz, too. He just couldn't find anybody. Marin Angel to kick to Denson as we approach 8 minutes in the half. Notre Dame with a big rush, and Marin Angel just killed it out of there. Denson will let it bounce and take it. And chased out of bounds short of the 20-yard line. A late hit by Notre Dame. That's going to cost them 15 yards. One of the Notre Dame players just went ahead and threw a block well after the play was over. And that's going to back Notre Dame up inside the 10-yard line if it is a personal foul, a late hit. It's a split crew of officials tonight, which I know is one of your favorite things.
After the play was dead, it was a dead ball foul, personal foul from Notre Dame. Penalty's half the distance to the goal line.
That's Bill Goss out of the SEC. And that's a good call, though.
Yeah, it's a good call. And this has been a well-officiated first half.
Yes,
you like, if you're a visiting team, to have a split crew.
7:50 to go in the half. Vanderbilt playing Notre Dame to a 0-0 tie.
Bruce Selden.
7:50 to go first half. Notre Dame backed up at its own 10, scoreless against Vanderbilt. This Vanderbilt defense, which has 9 starters on the field from a year ago, is playing a great ball game. Paulus on a rollout, wants to throw. Has it complete out across the 30-yard line. Malcolm Johnson with his 2nd catch of the night. The big receiver out of Washington, D.C., gains 22.
He has to step it up with Denson going back to the tailback position. And Notre Dame's had success sprinting out. You see the big frame, 6'5" receiver, just sits down in the open area. Daryl Finklin makes the tackle. Good first down call by Lou Holtz.
Farmer checks back in at tailback on 1st and 10 outside the 31-yard line. There's Johnson. Very inexperienced position for Notre Dame. Draw play goes to Edwards. And Edwards has to struggle for maybe 2 yards. Jay Stallworth, the first man in there, along with Jamie Duncan, who's been there for nearly every tackle tonight.
We talked about 4 Vanderbilt defensive players on Wednesday, and every one of them talked about Mark Edwards. They said how impressed they were with him. Eric Vance said when he went home at Christmas, somebody asked him, said, who's the best player you played against? He said, Mark Edwards, because He comes at you the entire ball game.
2nd and 8 under 7 minutes to go in a scoreless first half. There's the option, loose football. Vanderbilt has it. The second turnover for Notre Dame. Anthony Jordan with the recovery.
Looked like Woody Woodenhofer was playing the formation of Notre Dame and had some line movement where he thought that football was going because of the formation and hit it just right, caused the fumble. That's exactly what Mark Edwards is trying to explain to Coach Holtz. Well, they hit it with a backer coming on the outside. Don't think Mark Edwards ever had that football. Carlton Hall, number 34, forced a fumble.
And Paulus had his legs cut out from under him as well. Marcus A. Williams, number 35, is the new tailback. He was the starting free safety a year ago. Notre Dame calls its second timeout. Another huge break for Vanderbilt. 6:38 to go in the first half. The Commodores have the ball when we come back. Irish turnover, Mike.
Mike, they're playing the tight end formation right here. What Woody Woodenhofer's doing is bringing a linebacker, Duncan, here, and he's bringing Hall off the corner, and that caused Notre Dame some problems to the tight end side. It just overloaded that. Ball never got in. Mark Edwards' hands fumbled the football. Jordan with the recovery.
Looked like they were running the option, but Paulus took the first option with a handoff. Marcus A. Williams, the new tailback. The former starter at free safety. And Allen wants to throw. Pressure on first down. Sacked back at the 43-yard line. Coming off the corner was Corey Minor, the third sack of the game for Notre Dame.
Well, Melvin Dansby, again, I said earlier, Alabama and Auburn didn't recruit him. Everybody in America recruited him. I made a mistake on that. But Minor coming from the outside, and Dansby telling everybody why he was recruited by everyone. But linebacker in high school, and he just explodes up and beats the block of Clay Condrey, and he's right in the face of Damian Allen.
2nd and 16. Fleming, the motion man. Allen to throw again. Out in the flat. Has the freshman Zach Winkler out of Birmingham. Saturday at noon, our regional coverage of ABC College football kicks off with Michigan State playing number 1 Nebraska. And then we'll continue at 3:30 Eastern. Check your local listings for the regional coverage of college football in your area.
Bob Davies probably thinking that Damian Allen's going to roll out here, get on the corner. I would think that's exactly what Rod Dowhauer may try to do here. Again, Damian Allen's dangerous when he gets outside.
3rd and 15, they double stack wide receivers to the left and then motion Winkler. They go with a running game to Williams. And Williams only picks up a couple down to the 38-yard line. Burt Berry again was in on the tackle.
Well, Rod Dowhauer is saying to his defense right now, you're playing well, continue to play well. We got a young offense. We're not uncracked yet. We're going to punt him in the hole. Let's play some defense with 4:54 and get a kind of victory here if we can keep it 0-0 here in the first half.
Marin Angel will try to pin Notre Dame deep. Denson moves back to the 5-yard line. Marin Angel with an excellent first half. 4 punches, average 43-3.
Going to take a delay of game.
And this team was 10th in the nation last year in net punting. This will give them 5 more yards to operate and takes more time off the clock.
I said early, Mike, that you've got to frustrate Notre Dame. They're the better team. You've got to find a way to frustrate them. And Woody Woodenhofer has frustrated the Notre Dame offense. A lot of movement, getting the safeties up, 8 men in the box. He's changing defenses, and that frustrates an offense. And then you get them into a rhythm of throwing the ball where they want to run the football. They've got all those 6-7 horses in the offensive line. That's what they do best.
He gave a lot of credit to the intelligence of his kids because he said they want to be challenged. We can throw multiple stuff at them, and with their intelligence level, they have no problem absorbing all of it.
I'm not sure Woody can talk to them all.
Marin Angel on 4th and 17. Trying to hang it high. Denson will let it go. Vincent is down there. So is everybody else. And Vanderbilt will count it inside the 3-yard line. Look at the number of guys who are around that kick.
They played well special teams. That was a well-coached special teams because they ran right to the goal line and were like shortstops, not letting that ball get in the end zone.
This is incredible coverage. There must have been 8 guys there.
Vanderbilt has a special teams coach, and you see the 2 players, Carlton Hall, number 34, getting in front of that football. A lot of teams make a mistake and do not get to the goal line, and the ball goes into the goal line and gets on the 20. There's Ken Wisnant, the special teams coach,
former NFL tight end. Notre Dame has to start from the 3. Edwards, the single setback. And Edwards gets the carry, gains less than 2. Guess who was in on the tackle? Jamie Duncan. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Doctor?
Hey, guys, in the offseason, the Vanderbilt players said if they had a wish list for 96, it would be more fan support. You know, last year, during the entire year, they sold only 11,800 season tickets. This year, before the first game, they sold 28,000, an increase of 125%. How'd they do it? Well, they discounted the ticket prices, but look at their home schedule. Notre Dame, Florida, and Tennessee doesn't hurt.
Jerry, if they could have guaranteed their fans they'd be 0-0 with Notre Dame at this point, they could have sold them all. Ball is going from his own end zone. He's got the first down, completed it to Emmett Mosley, the senior from Aurora, Colorado. That's a gutsy play call.
Yeah, a little quick screen. It's a safe call because you get some good blocking out there, and then you get the ball in the receiver's hands. Number 5, Mosley's got good speed. Farmer, number 31, with a good block.
First down Irish as they move it out to the 17-yard line. 3:26 to go in the first half. Farmer and Denson are both in the game. Farmer running back, Denson is the slot man to the top of the screen. Farmer. Not much.
You know, Mike, Ron Powell broke his arm last year and then came back in the spring and really was having problems with his motion. And Dave Roberts, who's the offensive coordinator, brought in all kind of tape on Troy Aikman and Jim Kelly and the best in the pros, John Elway, and had Ron Powell's look at it. And they felt like that he came out of spring and into early fall with a good throwing motion.
2nd and 8. The end around, Denson breaking tackles to the 27-yard line, then gang tackled. There's going to be a holding penalty on this play because that's why Denson was able to get away from the first tackle.
Notre Dame's hurt themselves with penalties. Another area that they're not in good shape in right now is they've only got 1 timeout left. They had to burn a couple timeouts early in the first half.
Oh, the indication against Vanderbilt. Let's go to Chris Fowler. Chris, what do you have?
Well, reminder at halftime, we'll break down the Cornhuskers opening game. A point, counterpoint on that Carolina-Syracuse game Saturday night. The first visit of the year from our halftime blitzers, plus the wild and the wacky from week 1 when Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit join me. Stick around.
All right, Chris, it's going to be a he said thing, huh? Well, the Vanderbilt players were indicating a hold, and I saw one, and the flag went down right there, but the penalty will go against the Commodores. Jamie Spencer comes in on 1st and 10, approaching 2 minutes in the half. Spencer is the up man in the arm. Farmer just grinding away across the 35 up to about the 36-yard line.
Talk about grinding. You'd like to have those linemen to grind behind it. Chris Clevenger, 6'8", 303. Akers, the left guard, 6'6". The right guard, Rosenthal, is 6'7", number 79. Dowdy's 6'8". And Dante Vanderbilt is hanging right in there with their front 4.
Notre Dame using a lot of time. We're down to 1:29. 2nd and 5. Paulus with a little half roll. Has plenty of time, can't find anybody, then throws dropped by Johnson. Johnson was open on the late crossing pattern, couldn't hold the football.
Looks like their passing game is out of sync because Johnson's wide open. Ron Powell didn't see him for a long time. Johnson's been impressive in the first half, just dropped that one.
Let's give some credit to that secondary, too. These guys can cover.
They're a good secondary. They've got outstanding corners. They've got free safety and strong safety that can play the run and the pass.
Paulus only 6 of 14, 66 yards. 3 wide receivers now include Rakai Nelson. Here comes the blitz. Paulus wants the screen to his tight end. Levitch. Across the 45 to the 46-yard line. A gain of 10. It will be a first down for the Irish.
That's what Notre Dame does to you. They run the football, play action passing game, and then they're going to hit the tight end on a screen. Middle screen. See him block, set. Now he works to the middle and tries to get behind his offensive line, Clevenger and Akers.
Levitch has 3 catches, 25 yards. And Vanderbilt wants a timeout to talk this one over with 59 seconds to go in the first half. Vandy will have 2 left. Notre Dame is down to 1. And Notre Dame trying to gain the momentum by putting something on the board before they go to the locker room. Beautiful sight tonight with the biggest crowd in Vanderbilt history, 42,000, and probably some standing room on top of that. And one of America's most enduring corporate images, the Goodyear blimp with us tonight, floating overhead here in Nashville, giving us the aerial views for tonight's game. We're in Music City, USA, and so far, Notre Dame has hit a couple of sour notes.
Have you ever heard of Little Jimmy Dickens?
Of course.
He plays here in Nashville, in Music City, one of my favorites. Are you a country music?
I love country music.
You were looking for Reba McEntire a little bit for the national anthem.
It would have been nice to have Reba here. Notre Dame with a 1st and 10 starts at its own 46-yard line, under a minute to go. 7th time the Irish have had the ball in this ball game. They have yet to score. Farmer, the deep man in the eye. Paulus to throw. Excellent protection. Throws underneath. Mosley driven out of bounds. Got to the 46-yard line. Jamie Duncan was there on the coverage.
Notre Dame, now that was the same play they came back with when Malcolm Johnson came across and dropped the play. They're working underneath the linebackers. Linebackers getting a little bit of depth on their drop, trying to throw the ball right underneath them with them and Mosley making that catch.
And when you get that kind of protection, you can run those routes that take a long time.
Take a long time. No one's getting close to Ron Paulus right now.
2nd and 2. Four-man rush, no pressure. Now he dumps it off to Edwards on the screen. Good blocking in front. Edwards to the 30, to the 25, hit from behind, got to about the 24-yard line.
Another screen, another pass where you're trying to take advantage of a pass rush inside. Mark Edwards, the fullback, slipping out to the right. Safe call. Slow rush by Vanderbilt. Mark Edwards sets the screen up, and there's the blocking. Mike Rosenthal, number 79, with a block. Mike Dowdy, 73, with a block.
The officials will step in and stop play at the 23, and Vanderbilt has called its 2nd timeout. With 37 seconds to go in the half, of course, coming up, our Coors Light halftime report. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and Lee Corso will be in the studio. They'll be taking a look at a preview of Michigan State, Nebraska. Another preview of a big game in the Dome, North Carolina, Syracuse, and the return of our hidden video. North Carolina, very impressive in the opening week win.
They really have a very solid football team on offense. They've got Leon Johnson. They've got a good passing game. They've got one game under their belt, and the old coaching axiom is you improve the most from the first game to the second game. Their advantage, haven't played that game. Of course, Syracuse has a big advantage, the Carrier Dome.
Absolutely. Our situation here with 37 seconds to go in the first half, Notre Dame with a deep penetration. They're down to the 23-yard line, but we are in a scoreless first half, and the Vanderbilt defense has really hung in there, at least until now. Damian Allen looking on, hoping the defense can do it again. Vanderbilt's players trying to get the crowd to its feet. And that's no problem. They've been there most of the night.
Keep our eye on Malcolm Johnson, number 80. And a key receiver for Notre Dame here in the first half.
Paulus on a roll, being chased. Floats it, knocked away, and nearly intercepted. Excellent defense by Vanderbilt. Daryl Finklin really closed when that ball was up in the air.
Just took too long to develop for Ron Paulus. He just floated the ball up there to Autry Denson, number 23. Eric Vance almost picks this football off, the strong safety. Right now, you got to be ready to throw. Little action, a little missed block by the fullbacks. Ball put up for grabs, just a little too high.
Caught it one stride out of bounds. 2nd and 10.
Vanderbilt's got to be set for the draw here also to Mark Edwards.
Paulus with plenty of time. It is the screen to Edwards. Slips 2 tackles, still on his feet, drives forward to the 16-yard line. That one used a lot of time. We're down to 18 seconds. Fred Vinson made the tackle.
Mike, that should have never worked. They had that defended about as well as you can defend it. They just didn't react to the ball once it was thrown. Woody Woodenhofer had the right call on for Mark Edwards in the screen. They just didn't make the play. No one tackled him.
Notre Dame has used its last timeout with 16 seconds to go. So now you really can't afford to call any kind of a running play.
Well, you've got 2 yards for a first down. So if you do get a first down on a run, you can kill the clock, but you better get the first down. And it goes back to, again, Notre Dame spent 2 early timeouts, one on special teams, and then kind of blew them away here early in the ball game, so they'd like to have one more.
So if you throw a pass and it's incomplete, it's no problem. You can still get your special teams
set
out
the
there.
field goal up.
Senja, of course, missed one earlier.
It also gives you the Commodore Football Report updated every week. NCI Team Link, the Vanderbilt Athletics fan card.
Saturday night, the green flag drops at the Richmond International Raceway. That'll be for the NASCAR Miller 400. Terry Labonte leads Jeff Gordon by 114 points in the Winston Cup standings. That's going into the 24th race of this season. Don't miss the action at 7:30 Saturday on ESPN. Well, Jerry Punch knows all about NASCAR. Notre Dame started this drive at its own 3-yard line. 16 seconds to go in the half. Paulus with time. Now he's hit. Throws and throws it away. Incomplete. Flag goes down. It looks like interference at the 12-yard line.
Well, I think if that's interference now, that did not look like interference on Vanderbilt.
That would be a touchy call. It looked like the player just brushed.
The pass was ruled to be uncatchable. Therefore, there's no foul. There's no foul.
Good call, Mike. Pick it up.
And now Lou Holtz will send in the field goal team.
Ron Paulus's throw to the outside. Yeah, I don't know now. It looks a little different.
I don't like that uncatchable rule. Jim Sampson, after Senja had missed the first time. Sampson will come on to try from 23. He's a freshman from Scottsdale, Arizona. 33 yards out. And he knocks it through. So Notre Dame, with 5 seconds to go in the half, finally gets on the scoreboard. And the freshman is the man who connects.
That's big for Notre Dame because just before half to get a little confidence. Again, you're the better football team, and you're letting Vanderbilt hang around, and that was a good drive by the Notre Dame offense.
The Irish came in tonight, of course, as heavy favorites, as you might expect, against a program that had not had a winning season in 13 years. To keep it in perspective, Vanderbilt has been to 3 bowl games in over 100 years. Notre Dame has won 8 national championships. That is the disparity between these programs, and yet here at halftime, it's 3-0.
You know, I think about what Lou Holtz is going to do at half line that should be handling this football game, and I'm sure he's going to challenge that offensive line. They have not played well in the first half. Vanderbilt has outplayed them on defense, but Lou Holtz, that's his goal. That's how Notre Dame is going to win this year, and he's going to challenge that offensive line. Come out in the second half and try to run the football.
Sanson has it teed up at the 30 with 5 seconds to go. Chavis and Charlie are deep to receive.
will kick off for Notre Dame from his own 35.
The other thing, Mike, is Notre Dame's defense has had Vanderbilt's offense in check the whole first half.
Absolutely.
Dominated.
Which is what we came in expecting. They kick it away. Chavis will take it 8 yards deep and down it there. So Vanderbilt will get one more play from its own 20-yard line. Nice kick by Sanson. He's got to be a little jacked up after that field goal. The kicking game was something that was questionable for Notre Dame, even though Senja had kicked 10 field goals in 2 years. 3-0. We're at Vanderbilt Stadium, the largest crowd in history. Mike Patrick, Mike Godfrey, Jerry Punch down on the field. We told you about the Vanderbilt defense at the beginning of the game. They certainly haven't disappointed, have they?
No, they really haven't. They played well, and I'm sure Lou Holtz is going to challenge his offensive line at half, and they're going to run the football second half.
Vanderbilt came out and simply shut down Notre Dame's rushing game early.
Well, you look at Woody Wittenhofer's plan. His plan is to try to get people up the field. Number 45, Jeffcoat, gets up the field, causes the fumble in the first play. Then Notre Dame tried to go outside. Brian Boykin, number 73, kept his outside arm free, and then they hit a blitz to the tight end side, caused Mark Edwards to fumble the ball, and they forced some turnovers. The offense just was not able to make any hay with it.
First half stats, Notre Dame with 190 yards total, but only 75 on the ground. Both teams have had 2 turnovers in the first half. And individually, Ron Paulus, his numbers aren't that bad, but he looks like he's struggling, Mike.
He really is. He doesn't look crisp at quarterback. His feet, he's not setting his feet at the quarterback position. He did not have a good first half.
Edwards, 9 carries, only 28 yards. Donovan ran the ball 11 times for Vanderbilt. He gained only 21. And you can only surmise that both teams may come out and try to use the ground game a little bit more in the second half. Paulus, 10 out of 20 in the first half, did not receive much pressure, got excellent blocking up front from that massive offensive line.
Notre Dame had that drive just before half, and Vanderbilt's defense is going to have to go right back on the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lou Holtz and his offensive staff, Dave Roberts, the coordinator, decide to do. But I'm sure they're going to load the wagons with that offensive line, Mike.
The other thing that exists here, has Vanderbilt's defense been on the field too long to let them be effective?
Well, they got a good break, and I'm sure they're ready to go. They need to win this football game. Vanderbilt has any chance to win, the defense has to do it.
A bouncing kick that will go out of bounds at the 6-yard line. If it was not touched, that's a big break for Notre Dame.
First kick out of bounds. At the 5.
Robert Farmer was going for it. Didn't look like he got a hand on it.
Illegal kick out of bounds on the kicking team. Penalty places the ball on the 35-yard line. First down.
Let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doctor?
Hey, you would have think Mike Godfrey would have been in the Notre Dame locker room at halftime. Mike, exactly what Lou Holtz wanted to do. He said, I'm not going to rant and rave and shout. That's totally counterproductive, but we have to control the line of scrimmage. We're going to come out and maybe play some smash mouth football in the second half until we control the line up front offensively.
And here's the first shot by Farmer, Jerry. He'll get about 3. That is a veteran Vanderbilt defense led by Jamie Duncan, number 49, who was in on that stop. Again, remember, a year ago, he made 20 tackles against Notre Dame.
And if you can establish the run, Mike, and Jerry, then you control the line of scrimmage, then Ron Paulus does what he does best, play-action passes.
Give Farmer 4 on that carry at 2nd and 6. They come out in the eye with 2 wide receivers to the top of the screen. Again, Farmer behind Edwards. Cuts it back, has the first down as he crosses the 45. Darrell Finklin, the safety who's been in on several stops, made that tackle.
And I think Lou Holtz likes this better than Robert Farmer's back at tailback, so he can keep Audrey Denson at the wide receiver position. Mark Edwards with a very nice block out of that I formation at the fullback position.
Notre Dame has always been known as a running team. Farmer 6 for 31 tonight. Last year they were number 6 in the country. 293 yards against Vanderbilt. Tonight only 86 so far. Edwards, the fullback. And they're tearing it off in chunks of 5 yards at a time. Right now, Boykin in on the stop.
Well, now the question to Woody Widenhofer is, now what do you do? And Lou Holtz has already said, "Hell, I'm going to run the football." So Woody now has to, because he's outmanned, he's got to bring Eric Vance, number 19th, or Daryl Franklin, number 22. He's got to sneak them up in their safety positions now to get the extra guy to help against the run. Now, that's going to leave your corners isolated on the outside, but they played pretty well in the first half.
And both of those safeties are excellent run support people. They'll move Kriplevich, the big tight end, to the right side. Farmer on the sweep. This was a very successful play a year ago. There is a flag down on this play, however, as they sealed the right side, and this may be a hold against Notre Dame. The Irish have hurt themselves with penalties tonight.
Penalties and turnover. They did get a break on that penalty before half, because that penalty was on Vanderbilt. It gave them some decent field position to go down and kick the field goal.
Holding on the offense. Penalty's 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
With the running game going like it is now, remember the screens. Now, Notre Dame's a good screen team. They've screened to Mark Edwards in the first half. They screened to Pete Kriplevich, the tight end, and they screened to Autry Denson. They're an outstanding screen team.
2nd and 11 as they mark the ball off from the spot of the foul. Farmer behind Edwards. Denson is the flanker to the near side. Paulus play action. Here comes the blitz. Paulus to midfield, gets out of bounds. Very close to the sticks. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Hey, at halftime I spoke with Woody Widenhofer, the defensive coordinator for Vanderbilt. He said the problem they had at the end of the first half was simply they ran out of gas. The screens and the running around they had with the short passes ran their defense out of gas. He said, I've got to substitute better, at least early in the second half. He said, if we get tired and can't use our quickness, they'll run all over us.
Corey Chavis came on a corner blitz that time, Jerry, and missed Paulus.
I think it's an excellent point what Jerry makes, and I think Corey Chavis may have been tired because he didn't line up Ron Paulus to make the play on the last.
3rd and a yard, 2 tight ends. Paulus, quarterback keeper. And looks like he got it by a half a yard.
Notre Dame's idea of a big play is 5 yards, and that's their philosophy. They'd like to have a 15-play drive, take the ball down the field, smack you in the mouth with their offensive line, and that's their game. And once they establish that run game, number 3, Ron Paulison, becomes a better quarterback because he gets more time. Linebackers come up to face the run, and the zones are open a little bit more for him.
They'll go with 3 wide receivers, all set to the near side this time. Farmer is one of them. Edwards, the single setback. Nice hole up the middle. And Edwards just lowers his head and gains more yardage to the Vanderbilt 32.
I'd say the challenge has worked with the offensive linemen because they are controlling the line of scrimmage. Completely different than what we watched in the first half. Spread 3 wide receivers out and give the ball to Mark Edwards behind Mike Rosenthal, number 79. Now, Rosenthal is 6'7", 302 pounds. Bob Davie, who's a defensive coordinator, used to coach at the University of Pittsburgh, and he said Mike Rosenthal is just like Bill Freilich. He said he'll be that kind of pro lineman.
Boy, high praise indeed. Freilich was one of the great ones. Notre Dame has run the ball 7 straight times, 41 yards on this drive. Edwards again. Not much operating room here as the Vanderbilt defense swarms on him as he got inside the 30-yard line. Stallworth led the charge along with number 49, Jamie Duncan.
You know, there aren't a lot of good fullbacks out there anymore. They're just hard to find. And when you see a player like Mark Edwards, you appreciate him. He's a Tom Rathman type player from the 49ers because you're looking for somebody at the fullback position that can block, can catch the football, and can run the football. He's a complete player. He can do all 3.
When the Vanderbilt player said he hits you like a ton of bricks every time he carries the ball. 2nd and 7. Here comes the blitz. Paulus on the option. Great call against the defense. Paulus dragged down. Great tackle by Fred Vinson, but he went right through the area where the linebackers had vacated.
Well, everybody talks about this offense isn't fit for Ron Paulus because of the option, but that's the first option we've seen tonight. And what the option does for you as Ron Paulus comes down here, it makes you play disciplined football and eliminates a lot of coverages that that Vanderbilt would like to do against Notre Dame. Just that one play scares the defensive coordinator to death.
Forget the pass on this drive. It's been all runs, and now 3rd and 1. Edwards to single setback. Edwards will get the carry. Fumble! Paulus picks it up on the bounce. And then he gets to the 21-yard line. That can be a first down. Break for Notre Dame as Vanderbilt's defense again forced a fumble, but it went right to Ron Paulus. Edwards was drilled.
Well, the reason that fumble occurred was because the defender put his helmet right on that football. There's a tackle, and it's Carlton Hall again, the middle linebacker. Ron Paulus alertly picked that football up and gained the first down.
Big play for Notre Dame. Instead of turning it over or losing 4 or 5 yards, they have a new set of downs with 10:30 to go 3rd quarter. Jamie Spencer, number 33, is checked in for Notre Dame. Paulus. Here's another loose football. Farmer will gain a yard out of it. Notre Dame has fumbled on consecutive plays and gained 3 yards.
Playing a little basketball here, dribbling the ball a little bit. Robert Farmer, number 31, fumbled early in the ball game, was taken out of the ball game by Lou Holtz. Fumbles again, but is able to get it back. And coming off the sideline.
Little old inside reverse scissors action.
Just
and
never
Farmer
had the
just didn't get it.
Never had it.
2nd and 9.
I would think a sprint out to the right if they're going to throw the football here by Ron Paulus.
Benson is the new tailback. Vanderbilt shows run blitz. They don't come. Here's Benson to the 15-yard line, where Jamie Duncan is waiting for him again. Number 49 is going to be first in line for the Whirlpool.
No, he sure is. This is going to be a key call for Notre Dame and Woody Woodenhofer's defense, because now you're in a 3rd down situation. You've got to stop them and hold them to a field goal here, because Notre Dame, in the last 3rd down play, Notre Dame ran the option. Let's see if they come back with the option and Ron Paulus.
And Woodenhofer wants a timeout. He doesn't like the situation he has out there, and he will get the timeout as Vincent finally gets the official's attention. So Vanderbilt has to use the timeout on defense on a 3rd and 4. We've got a timeout, 9:04 to go 3rd quarter. Still 3-0 Notre Dame.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by American Honda, celebrating their 25th anniversary of selling cars in America, and by Kodak, who gives you the power to take pictures. Further.
Yes, they are, and they're playing great defense. They've held Notre Dame to a field goal. 9:04 to go 3rd quarter. Huge play here. 3rd and 4 for the Irish. They have run the ball 12 straight plays on this drive.
60 yards in this drive, 75 only in the first half.
Benson, the deep man. Option. Paulus. Not anywhere near a first down. Beautifully defense. Brian Boykin from his defensive end spot made the tackle.
Well, Woody Woodenhofer figured it was going to be an option play, because that's the toughest play inside the 20-yard line to defend.
And that'll bring Jim Sanson on to try the field goal out of the hold of Hunter Smith.
Number 73, Brian Boykin, playing over the center, is able to come off and make that play and stop the Notre Dame drive.
Paulus doesn't exactly scare you to death with his speed on the option.
No, but you've got to account for it, and your players have to play discipline. That's why the option's in the playbook.
32-yard field goal attempt by Sanson, who hit one earlier. He's got another one. It's 6-0 Notre Dame. The Irish with an impressive drive all on the ground. They gained 62 yards rushing, but only come away with a field goal.
Bottled up. They haven't been able to run the football. They haven't been able to throw it. And I don't think they can take the ball the distance against Notre Dame's defense. They're going to need a big play.
That's Corey Chavis. He's back with Damian Charlie as Sanson kicks away. Chavis will go 3 yards deep, and he'll bring it out after a hesitation. Got room to run. To the 44-yard line. He hesitated momentarily in the end zone, and Allen Rossum had to make the saving tackle after a 46-yard kickoff return. You said they needed the big play.
Well, he had to run that football out because that's the only way they're going to move the football. They do not have an offense strong enough to take the ball the distance against this Notre Dame defense. Chavis just caught it on the dead run, hit the middle wedge, and then broke it outside, then back inside for a good gain.
Damian Allen brings them out with Donovan, the running back. And Donovan will get the toss. Cuts it back, crosses the 45. Let's check in with the doctor, Jerry Punch.
At halftime, Rod Dowhauer spent the entire half with the offense. He said the guts of a football team are the offensive and defensive line. Our offensive line has got to have some guts in the second half, he told them. He challenged the offense, and we got to run the football. We are going to run the football. But when we throw it, we have got to give Damian some time. We've got receivers open down the field, but he can't complete them from his back.
Jerry, it's very difficult to pick on a secondary, even a young secondary, if you don't have time to throw. 2nd and 7. Allen back to throw, and he's sacked. Damian Allen hit as he dropped back. Ronaldo Wynn got Notre Dame's 4th sack of the night. That young man nearly left last year for the pros. He was told by the combine he would be a 3rd to 5th round draft pick. He said, I got to the edge of where I want to be, and this year I go over the top.
Well, he made a good move. But again, remember, these offensive linemen that Vanderbilt planned with, they were recruited by Jerry DiNardo for an option game. So the passing game really is only had for a year. They're not really that well versed in the passing game yet.
3rd and 15. 4-man rush. Allen under pressure. Guns this one low. Incomplete. Intended for Todd Yoder, the first time they've thrown toward Yoder tonight. So 3 and out, and the defense doesn't get the rest very long.
No, and I think they're better when Damian Allen gets on the corner because they're breaking down in the pass protection. So now they've got to roll him out a little bit, try to get him away from that rush of Notre Dame.
Marin Angel to kick to Denson. Special teams has been a strength for Vanderbilt all last year and tonight. Beautiful kick by Marin Angel. Drives Denson back inside the 10. He's a very dangerous return guy, though. Broke a couple of tackles. Takes it out to the 23-yard line. 56-yard punt and a 17-yard return. Notre Dame will have it at its own 24 when we come back. The third quarter, 6-0 Notre Dame. Throughout the college football season, American Honda will recognize outstanding students for their athletic and scholastic achievements. The winner of this week's Honda Scholar Athlete Award, Jeremy Akers, the offensive tackle of Notre Dame. He's a fifth-year senior majoring in economics, a 3.28 grade point average, and Honda is proud to donate $3,000 to Notre Dame's General Scholarship Fund on behalf of Jeremy Akers. The Irish take over, and Paulus to throw for the first time in the second half. Goes out in the flat to Edwards. Edwards shakes one tackler and may have a first down out at the 34-yard line. Corey Chavis made the tackle, a gain of 11.
We talk about the veteran leadership when you have a veteran quarterback, Ron Paulus. They're running the ball very successfully, but now all of a sudden Vanderbilt's got 8 people in the box. So Notre Dame comes out, throws the first down play to Mark Edwards. He's open in the flat with a good play action. An excellent call by Notre Dame.
Denson goes to tailback behind Edwards on first down. Denson with the carry. Vanderbilt able to string it out again. Notre Dame was very successful last year, Mike, getting outside. Tonight, they have had no success with it.
They really haven't. The strong safety came up and made that play go and string it out a little bit. But again, a good block by Mark Edwards, the fullback, number 44. That play would have been minus yardage.
At Vanderbilt defense, obviously getting a little bit weary, but boy, have they played a heck of a game tonight.
Well, I think their game plan's been excellent. They've given great effort. They played well enough to win this football game on this side of the ball.
2nd and 7. Robert Farmer comes back in as the deep man in the eye. Paulus wants to change the play. He is an excellent caller of audible. wants to go to the quick throw to Farmer, and Farmer is drilled by Vincent. There's a flag down. They may not have gotten that play off in time. Which would actually be a break for the Irish.
Delay of game on the offense. Penalty's 5 yards. Repeat the down.
They lose 5 yards, but they get the down over.
Well, Ron Paulus tried to check off there. Just took him too long to get Autry Denson to move over for the check off for the pass. Found a weakness on the short side of the field and wanted to exploit it, but just ran out of time.
2nd and 12. Clock running, 5:39 to go third quarter. Only 6-0 Notre Dame, and now Paulus has to take a timeout. And Lou Holtz can't understand that one. He's not going to wait on the sideline. He's going to come out and ask about this one. Hope you'll join us Saturday at noon. We have regional coverage of ABC college football kicking off with Michigan State. Very impressive a week ago. Going to #1 Nebraska. And then all the action continues at 3:30. We ask you to check your local listings for regional coverage in your area. Some good ball games on the slate. Mike, you talked earlier about frustrating Notre Dame. Vanderbilt has been able to do it tonight defensively.
They did exactly what you need to do on defense. They frustrated Notre Dame. They got him out of the running game early in the first half, got him guessing a little bit on play calls, and you saw the frustration there. I think what happened is that Autry Denson has played wide receiver, and then he's a tailback, and I think he lined up in the wrong place, and Ron Paulus said, hey, we don't have time to get it off, and so I'm going to make the timeout call.
Let's go to Jerry Punch. Doctor, what do you have?
Hey, Coach, a moment ago, Woody Weidenhofer has really been able to use his defense effectively against Notre Dame. They're zoning to the formation and using their safeties to walk up late. He's trying to encourage his safeties not to walk up until Paulus gets into his count so they can disguise their 8-man front.
What'll happen on that, Jerry, is the outside receivers will be where Ron Paulus should go with the football.
2nd and 12. Here comes the reverse. Mosley. Blocker in front. Vincent did a nice job slowing the play down. Mosley gets it out to the 45, 46-yard line before Mark Jeffcoat can make the tackle.
Mark Jeffcoat.
The Vanderbilt players may be a little bit tired, but you've got to be able to see when the flanker moves in as tight as Emmett Mosley did on this last play. He moved in real tight to the formation, and number 49, Jamie Duncan, should have made a call that the reverse was coming because of his alignment, the possibility that he was going to come back around on the reverse.
Notre Dame with its 16th first down of the game. Vanderbilt has only 2. Farmer back to the ground game. Cuts it back, picks up another good chunk of yardage to the Vanderbilt 48. Anthony Jordan, the left side linebacker, made the tackle.
Mike, you know the smallest lineman that Notre Dame has in the starters, Rick Kaczynski, the center. He's 6'4", 260. Now, that's not real small, but the coaches say he looks like a munchkin in the huddle with all these other linemen. But he was a tight end out of high school. Good recruiting by Notre Dame. Tight end out of high school. They moved him to center.
Lou Holtz said if you saw us in the weight room together, we'd be lifting together. I don't believe that one, but Notre Dame has already eclipsed its first half rushing stats here in the third period. Edwards, the fullback, just pounding it forward to the Vanderbilt 40. That'll be another first down. A gain of 8. Jason Smith, backup defensive tackle. Number 93 was in on that stop.
Little trap play. Mike Rosenthal, 6'7", 302 pounds. Right guard is going to make the good block for Notre Dame. See him pull, trap. Number 95, Matt Shuckman. That opened up the quick hitting play for Mark Edwards to get in the secondary.
Nelson and Champion, the freshman wide receivers, check in on first down.
Here comes the 8 people in the box again, causing Ron Paulus a lot of problems with the late movement by Vanderbilt.
They are throwing everything at them that they can, and so far have held them to 2 field goals.
Dead ball foul. Ball start on the interior line. The penalty's 5 yards.
When you get that late movement, sometimes an offensive lineman is geared to go on Ron Paulus's count. You get some late movement, and you get that movement by the offensive lineman. It may have been Mike Rosenthal, number 79, and then the penalty occurs.
Sixth flag against Notre Dame tonight for 56 yards. Vanderbilt has done a good job staying out of trouble with penalties.
I'd be thinking screen here if I was Woody Wittenhofer.
First and 15. Here comes the pressure. They got the screen covered, and Paulus makes the great decision and throws it away. They were trying to set it up to Edwards, Mike. They were thinking right along with you.
Boy, I tell you, Woody Wittenhofer has got himself right in the headset of Lou Holtz and Dave Roberts, because he's anticipating the calls. He's anticipating. He's putting his defense in excellent position to succeed. You can't do any more if you're a coach than that.
And Vanderbilt's linemen have to know by now, if they get any penetration, it's a screen, because they haven't gotten any pressure by themselves.
No.
Second and 15.
I would think rollout here by Ron Paulus again, trying to get him on the outside, especially the right side.
Farmer, the tailback. Here comes the blitz. Nice block by Farmer. Paulus on the run, throws to the sideline, complete to the 33-yard line. Good throw on the run that time to Mosley. It's a gain of 12. Paulus drilled that one.
Because all the pressure's coming, now you roll your quarterback out and you take Mark Edwards and Robert Farmer and lead him outside. So if pressure comes from the outside, you're going to pick it up. If pressure comes from the inside. Now watch Robert Farmer, number 31. He's going to pick up the pressure. There's the block on Daryl Finklin. Now he's wide open on the outside to get the ball to Mosley. That was an excellent call by Lou Holtz.
Third and 3. Farmer behind Edwards. Farmer. Fumble! And Vanderbilt has it again. Farmer coughs it up for the second time tonight. And the Vanderbilt defense has come through again. 3 turnovers for Notre Dame. Eric Vance was the man who recovered.
Mike, excellent defense again. A mistake by Robert Farmer. He's had 2 fumbles, and then one he bounced on but recovered himself. Yeah. And I think we'll see Autry Denson back at the tailback position, but again when we go to the next series. But good block by Mark Edwards, number 44. Ball just came out. Eric Vance with the fumble recovery, and now Vanderbilt's offense has to come of age if they're going to challenge to win this game.
They have to do something, if nothing else, than to give that defense a rest. Here they go. Allen got some room. 45, first down to midfield. And Mike, you said during the last commercial, they've got to do something to get Allen to the outside where he can be more effective. They just did it.
That was a run all the way. They've got to get him outside because they can't protect against Notre Dame's front. So if you can't protect, now you get him outside. Fred Baker, number 18, came across with a good trap block, and that's a run by Damian Allen all the way. The ball's tucked away. Now, once you get Damian Allen to the outside, that should open Donovan a little bit inside, because Bob Davies going to play the outside a little bit more.
13-yard gain, the first down for Vanderbilt since the first quarter. Donovan gets 3 to the Irish 47-yard line. Farmer, who has had a tough night trying to hold on to the football, the young man who started tonight.
Remember, Randy Kinder's not here, injured this week in practice, and they left him home as a precautionary method.
They said they'd rather lose him for 1 game than a half dozen. 2nd and 7. 2:45 to go, third quarter. Vanderbilt 1 play away from taking the lead on Notre Dame. Donovan hit in the backfield. Got back to the line of scrimmage on second effort. The tackle by Melvin Dansby. When that Goodyear blimp is hovering above the game, you know you'll get a good view. Overhead today, the Goodyear blimp, Spirit of Akron. Had to avoid a few thunderstorms earlier this afternoon, but we've had beautiful weather tonight, and glad to have it with us tonight for all these beautiful pictures of the biggest crowd in the history of Vanderbilt Stadium. 3rd and 6.
Got the taller receiver, Todd Yoder, at the top, 101.
And nearly intercepted. The middle linebacker, LaRon Cobbins, had it right in his hand. And it's not that he can't catch the ball. He led this team last year with 5 interceptions.
And he had 2 against Southern Cal. We talked to him the other day, and he said about his Notre Dame visit. That was his first visit he made, and he said he went on the weekend they had the banquet. and he was sold. But Miami was his team. And when he was a high school player, he said, I wanted to go to Miami. Their colors, the way they played defense, everything on TV just looked good to me. But said when it came down to it, I was heading to Notre Dame.
But very tough once you've made that visit to get him out of South Bend. And this kick is going to make the end zone. On the news Saturday at 12:30 Eastern. It's Eastern Michigan and Wisconsin. Then a primetime doubleheader at 6. Number 24 North Carolina visits number 9 Syracuse. That's followed at 9 when Colorado heads to Colorado State. And of course, the ESPN2 scoreboard show at 5:30. And they will open this series, will Notre Dame, from its own 20 with Farmer getting a ground level view from the bench. 3 fumbles, lost 2. That does not earn you a lot of playing time.
He had an excellent Orange Bowl game.
Yes, he did.
You know, they said that gained a lot of confidence in the spring, came back and got injured a little bit, but had a good fall.
Audrey Denson takes his turn in the box at tailback. See if the Irish go right back to the ground game, and they do. Only about 3 yards for Edwards. Alfonso Harvey, number 92, wrapped him up. You can't say enough about Vanderbilt's defense. They have been on the field all night long and really shown no signs of cracking at all.
Now what you have to think, if you're Woody Woodenhofer, you got to take some chances now because you're figuring you're still within striking distance, so it's not the time exactly to sell the farm. But you're talking to your defense over there, we need a turnover. That's what they need again. They forced a couple tonight, but they need one down close enough where their offense can get it in.
He may even be thinking we got to score on one.
Well, exactly.
Paulus with all day to throw. Floats it sideline and knocked away. Beautiful defensive play by Corey Chavis. He had Malcolm Johnson covered perfectly.
He was a glove. Corey Chavis couldn't have played this any better on Malcolm Johnson. Man coverage, he's going to come off. Now, he gives up a lot of inches. He's 5'11". Malcolm is 6'5". But look at how he plays him. He's just totally in control on that coverage. Almost had the interception.
He ran the pattern as well as Malcolm Johnson.
He was right there.
This is a heck of a secondary. 3rd and 7. The Irish 50% on conversion so far. 3-man rush. Paulus, bad pass. Had Mosley open for a first down and missed him.
He's been off all night, and I think the biggest thing when you watch Ron Paulus tonight, he doesn't get his feet set. He's never set to throw the football. He's just been a little quick trying to get it out there and just hasn't got his feet set.
12 out of 25, 137 yards. The numbers on Paulus and Hunter Smith to punt.
This is where you might think of about a punt
sir.
block because you're trying to turn the game around a little bit. This is the one I'd go after if I'm Woody Woodenhofer.
They blocked 5 punts, 6 field goals and PATs a year ago. And here they come. Nice protection by Notre Dame. They don't get there. Duke. Flag is down as he got to the 44-yard line. 39-yard punt, a 5-yard return. And let's check the call with Bill Goss of the SEC, who's our referee tonight.
On the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team. Penalties 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Only the 3rd penalty tonight, Mike, on Vanderbilt.
They've played this game exactly the way if you want to upset somebody, you play it. They haven't turned it loose offensively, and I look at their ball club. Their veterans are Jason Tomachek, the tight end, and Donovan, the H-back, or the running back. But Todd Yoder, number 81, is a big, tall freshman receiver. He's 6'5", and he's going against a 5'8" corner. That might be a match they like here as we get winding down.
They've only thrown the ball to Yoder once tonight. Here's Allen, short set. Got it out to Hogan's, and Hogan's is gang tackled after he reached the 36. Allen Rossum, the right corner, who is the fastest player on the Notre Dame team, got there first and got some help from Johnny Sanders, number 29.
Well, they haven't been able to work on the corners deep, but they have been able to throw a couple short routes. There's Allen Rossum coming up and making a tackle. Bob Davie, the defensive coordinator, has drawn up an excellent defensive plan for Notre Dame tonight. Has not allowed Vanderbilt to get the ball outside.
Gain of 5 on the last play. And they're trying to let the clock run out so they can talk about it, and they do. Vanderbilt has played 3/4 of football at home against Notre Dame. They have held the Irish to 2 field goals. It's 6-0. Notre Dame on top of Vanderbilt. It's only 6-0 though. 15 minutes of football left from Vanderbilt Stadium. The biggest crowd ever, 42,000 on hand to see this opening game. Vanderbilt tonight has done nothing on offense. 63 yards, only 3 first downs through 3/4. The Notre Dame defense has been that overwhelming. Allen to throw again. Got the quick hitch, wide open, and dropped by Todd Yoder. Maybe that's why they only threw him one before.
Well, he's a freshman. He's the guy I'd still stay with. Now, I'd stay with him. He's a freshman in his first battle. He was a running back as a senior in high school. He was a receiver as a sophomore and junior. And he's from Indiana. So you got to stay with him now. He's been around this Notre Dame. He knows Indiana, and he may be able to be the hero in this thing before.
Well, you know what he was thinking too. It's a 4-yard hitch. I got to get 1 more yard for a first down. That's what he was trying for. Allen on a little half roll. Good protection this time. Time to throw. Airs it out. First down. No. Incomplete. Dropped by Fred Baker. That was a beautiful throw by Allen. Just floated it in there. Baker had it in his hands and couldn't hold it.
Johnny Sanders, number 29, knocked that ball out at the last minute and saved that first down. Fred Baker spent first 2 years here as a wide receiver. You're going to see number 29, Johnny Sanders on coverage. Watch him come in, punch it out.
Should have had that ball. The offensive line did its job. Marin Angel to kick to Denson. Marin Angel averaging almost 45 yards a kick. And that would have been a huge play for the Vanderbilt offense. Low liner this time. Denson can't field it. And the ball down at the 1. Incredible coverage downfield by Damian Charlie. And it's not like the pros. If you carry it into the end zone, it comes out to the 20. If you touch it down, if you have possession, it's down.
We talked about when you have a special teams coach on your staff, somebody who's in charge of it, sometimes you have a tendency to be better. You see Damian Charlie, number 30, just make it great. I think that was a good call by the official. He had that ball in the 1.
He was down. So Notre Dame has to take over from the 1. Ken Wisenhunt has seen his special teams be brilliant. Paulus, flanker screen to Mosley. That's what they did the last time they were down here, and Mosley gets it out to the 11-yard line.
Safe play, Mike, because it's like giving a tailback the ball. You're going to run against 7 people. Throw it outside, little quick screen, safe. A missed tackle by Corey Chavis. Emmett Mosley picks up good yardage.
And you don't have to worry about a safety.
Yeah, you're going to throw it quick. It's a 3-step and throw.
Vanderbilt's defense back in the same situation they have been all night. They need to force a turnover. Call it second and less than a yard. Denson. He's got the first down to the 12, and you can tell the first Vanderbilt man gets there and tries to wrap up the ball carrier. The second man in is going after the football.
Tries to strip him. He wants to take the football away from him and cause a turnover. That's what Vanderbilt's defense is thinking about right now. Notice Notre Dame in the last play, big splits by their offensive linemen, trying to open up this defense a little bit by trying to get them to move out. Mike Rosenthal really has a good-sized split between he and the center.
Farmer, who may spend the rest of the game on the bench after his 2 turnovers, have cost Notre Dame. Paulus wants to throw again. Throws in the flat. Edwards knocked out of bounds, but has another 10 yards. Eric Vance got a shoulder into it.
Another safe throw, and Mark Edwards showing you why he's an all-around fullback.
And Vance is down. Could easily be cramps. It is warm. They have been out there forever. And no matter what happens in the fourth quarter, this Vanderbilt defense will be able to go home tonight and said, we played one of the best offensive teams in the country off their feet.
And this is a team that a lot of people think with their schedule could be 11-0 when it's all said and done. Notre Dame, now, they haven't played as well as they'd like to on offense. Tonight, defense has played great for Notre Dame. But this is a drive, I'm sure Lou Holtz is thinking, this is the drive that's a knockout punch right here. We got to be able to go down and at least get 3 more points and put it over a touchdown.
Taking Vance into the tunnel, the way he was walking, it does look like a cramp. And they'll measure for the first down. And they are an inch short. 2nd and 1 for the Irish, 13-18 to go. Lou Holtz says, winning isn't everything to our fans, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. He talked about the pressure of being the Notre Dame coach. Ron Paulus talked about the pressure of being the Notre Dame quarterback. He said, hey, you come to Notre Dame, that's part of the job. 2nd and inches. Denson behind Edwards. And Edwards going for the first down. Another holy cow! Anthony Jordan recovers. And one opportunity after another created by Vandy's defense.
Key in this series is first down. Now, Vanderbilt cannot play safe on first down. They've got to give Damian Allen something to be successful with on first down. Now, they threw the quick pass the last time and gained 5 yards. They need to get the ball outside.
Their surest-handed ball carrier, and you could see a hand go in there from somebody and strip it away. 7 fumbles for Notre Dame. They have lost 4. Vanderbilt from the 23. Allen to throw, under pressure. Flag is down, and so is Allen. You just can't expect a long pattern to develop. He doesn't have the time.
Well, I don't like that call, and I'm not second-guessing Rod Dowhauer by any means, but because they have not been able to hold Notre Dame out this whole game, and the drop-back passing game just doesn't have time to develop.
And really, they have basically ignored Donovan in the second half as a ball carrier. They have not tried to run the ball. Not that they had any great success with that to begin with.
Holding on the offensive line. Spend at least 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
And this is a tough call for them because you have great field position. You haven't moved the ball the entire game, and it has to be frustrating for Rod Dowhauer. Talk about frustration right there. Mark
really,
Edwards.
They were to 23, Mike. Even if they don't gain anything, it's a 40-yard field goal attempt, and they're within 3 points. 1st and 26, the penalty mark from the spot of the foul. And Notre Dame's defensive line is going to lay it back now and come after Allen. And Allen has done a terrible job not getting rid of the ball. He has just stood there until the defense came on top of him. The 5th sack by Notre Dame, and that was number 13, Burt Berry, who has come hard off the corner.
Mike, there's just not any time to throw the football when the drop-back game tonight. And I know that's their game. They have to drop back to throw. That's their scheme, but Burt Berry, number 13, is going to come from the top of your screen and not just beat the block, and really, I think the protection broke down a little bit. Sean Wilson, 79, tried to pick him up, but late. I think I just uncorked one here. Sprint him out, just uncork him, see if he can catch a break here.
It is now 2nd and 41. They'll gain a couple back to midfield. Melvin Dansby, the tackle on Donovan, and for the first time tonight, you hear the crowd's negative reaction.
Well, I think that's poor. First of all, this Vanderbilt team is sold out tonight. For that crowd to boo a decision is very poor. But what Vanderbilt's trying to do, Rod Dowhauer is trying to figure out how to win this game without losing it, because he's got an offensive team that's young. He's got to try to pick his spots to make things happen, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to call with a very young offensive team.
Well, there's no play to call on 3rd and 37, and that's what they're facing. Allen hoping for a little time. He'll air this one out. Got a man open at the 1. Holy cow, Tom Yoder! Are you kidding me? with an advantage on anybody in Notre Dame's secondary.
Well, those people that were booing Rod Dowhower are cheering now because Ivory Covington is on the coverage. But Todd Yoder, we talked about earlier, he's from Indiana, so this means an awful lot to him. He's 6'5", going against the 5'10" corner. You see it every Sunday in the pros.
The point after for the lead by Speakman is good. And are you ready for this? Vanderbilt with 11:16 to go in the game is leading Notre Dame 7-6. Mike, that was a 50-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and 37. Vanderbilt with the lead over the Irish.
State. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Isuzu, equipment for real life.
It is a madhouse at Vanderbilt Stadium as the Commodores have taken the lead over the Fighting Irish. Gallardo to kick to Mosley from the 4. Has a seam. Taken down at the 24-yard line. Yoder makes the catch for the touchdown. It only counts as a 23-yard scoring drive, but because of penalties and sacks, they had a 3rd and 37 and hit a 50-yard touchdown bomb.
And you know that means a lot to that young guy because he's from New Palestine, Indiana.
And he had dropped one earlier in the ball game, and one of the special teamers down for Vanderbilt. Number 39, John Bradley, a sophomore from Mount Airy, North Carolina.
The only play you could call on 3rd and whatever it was, 36, just throw the ball up for grabs and expect your 6'5" guy to come down with it. But, Mike, I think this is important right here now. Notre Dame, everybody expects them to be in the national championship hunt. They've got a veteran quarterback in Ron Powers. There's 9 seniors starting on this offense. You would expect now Lou Holtz's senior leadership would take over on this football field and Notre Dame win this ball game. Now, they're against a great defense. Remember, Eric Vance is out of there right now, number 19, so they may look to pick on Raheem Batten, number 8, but I would expect the senior leadership of Notre Dame right now to be delivered.
Check in with Jerry Punch quickly. Doctor?
Hey, Eric Vance came out of the game a minute ago, guys. Had severe cramping that got even worse, and the doctors took him back in a tunnel. They've since put a couple of liters of fluid in him. That's the only way you can really combat dehydration is to try to get fluid in Eric. He is now out of the tunnel, has been redressed, is jogging on the sidelines, and should be able to go back in momentarily.
Well, Jerry, thank you. They're going to need him, too. He's a member of that great secondary and a great defense. Notre Dame takes over from the 25. Paulus to throw on 1st down. Still can't find anybody. Now does over the middle, complete to Johnson out to the 46-yard line. Gain of 21.
Too long to develop for Vanderbilt's defense. Front 4 with no pressure at all. And Malcolm Johnson just found the seam and just sat down. Ron Powers with a lot of time, kept his feet moving in the pocket, delivered a strike. This is going to tell you about this Notre Dame football team. This drive right here.
Johnson has 3 catches, 51 yards. Edwards and Denson are the backs. Paulus to throw again under some pressure now. Throw sideline, incomplete. Out of bounds to Mosley. Great coverage by Fred Vinson, who runs just over a 4.3 40, and this is going to be a hold against Notre Dame. An obvious holding call as they were pass protecting for Powell.
Talked about early about frustration. You frustrate a team, and Notre Dame's offense has been frustrated. They've hurt themselves with turnovers, fumbles from their key players.
Holding on the offensive line. Penalty 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Receives 1st down.
You know who's been silent, Mike, since the 1st quarter?
There's Vance back in the game, Mike.
Eric Vance back in the ball game. Who's been silent since the 1st quarter is the tight end, Pete Kriplevich. Number 98, made a couple catches early in the ball game. They have not gone back to him.
If you thought Northwestern was an upset last year, take a look at this. 1st and 27 after the holding call. Here comes the corner blitz. Picked up. Paulus throws short, but complete to Mosley. Woody Woodenhofer is throwing everything but himself into that Vanderbilt defense.
And they don't need
Paulus.
They don't need him. He can't play, but he's using the playbook of the Steelers under Chuck Noll and George Perlis's background. He's using everything in his arsenal to try to slow this Notre Dame offense down.
2nd and 22. The clock running. 10:08 and counting. Vanderbilt leads Notre Dame. Paulus with all night to throw. Still can't find anybody. Then throws short. Completes it to Rakai Nelson. Nelson gain tackle there. Gain of only 8, however. DeReal Finklin, the first man in.
Woody's eyes. Look at those eyes. They're wide. He's thinking, trying to think a play ahead.
Well, this coaching staff's only been here 2 years. But I would not hesitate to call this the biggest moment in Vanderbilt football history if they could win this game.
This was a big football game for the SEC and Vanderbilt.
3rd and 14. Three-man rush. Paulus again, all day to throw. Complete. He's got a first down to Johnson at the 40. Gain of 18.
And trying to cover that time, trying to get back, cover, and that should have been covered by Woody Woodenhofer's defense. But Malcolm Johnson, number 80, 6'5" receiver on the outside. He's just going to work across the middle of the field, right in between the linebackers. You'll see both linebackers break and try to make the play. Jamie Duncan and Mark Jeffcoat, but good move by Malcolm Johnson getting in that middle.
Under 9 minutes to go. Notre Dame dominating statistically, but they've only been able to get 2 field goals in the Vanderbilt defense.
Expect to run here, Mike. This is what you expect out of your quarterback.
They go to the ground game with Audrey Benson. He's got about 7. Jamie Duncan in on another tackle, and Notre Dame gaining on field goal range.
By throwing the football, now you open up the run. Now you get back to play what they want to play. They've opened it up a little bit on the outside and then behind the linebackers. So the running game there should be there for Ron Paulus now. But I like this drive by Ron Paulus.
They wanted Denson to touch the ball 15 times tonight. They've gotten it. He'll go over that very soon. There's 16. Hit at the line of scrimmage and swarmed under. The first man there, Jay Stallworth, number 89. Alfonso Harvey, 92. You just can't say enough about these guys.
No, and what you want out of a defensive lineman is to get off blocks, and that's exactly what Jay Stallworth did. He was blocked. He's number 89. He's going to come off. He's being blocked by the tackle. Chris Clevenger, number 75, and he came off the block. A lot of players stay on the block and don't really help your defense. He was able to come off and make the play.
3rd and a long 2. And Vanderbilt wants a timeout. And even though you hate to give those up, Mike, if you see something you don't like defensively on what could be the play of the game, it's a good call.
There's no doubt. It's a good time to call to settle your defense down for this play.
Defensive coordinator Woody Woodenhofer, his easy manner and his huge resume have gained him great respect and enthusiasm from his defensive players at Vandy.
The rapport with the players is fantastic. I've never really been associated with a coach that has that kind of level of trust with his players.
He has a knack for letting his intelligence run down throughout the team. You know, through his confidence that he gives us, or the confidence he has in us, gives us confidence in ourselves.
Guys trust him and really believe what he says. And, you know, look at his track record. I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, guys got Super Bowl rings, played with coached the Steel Curtain.
And they believe in him, too.
They really do, Mike. And I think if you're Lou Holtz, you've got 2 plays to make this first down if you want to go back to your ground game.
Denson is the tailback on 3rd and 2. It's the fullback, Edwards, first down.
And I think that's what Lou Holtz was thinking. I got the best team, got the best offensive line here. I'm going to take 2 plays and knock this first down out. Well, when I watched practice the other day, I was really impressed with Vanderbilt's coaching staff. It was a very positive practice. There wasn't any yelling. Rod Dahlhauer and his coaching staff were teaching, and I thought it was just an excellent practice.
Will Notre Dame make another mistake? They have fumbled 7 times tonight and lost 4.
Ron Paulus maybe trying to get out of this play because it looks like they're going to have 8 people at least crowding this line of scrimmage.
Here comes the blitz. It's the quick toss to Mosley. Mosley diving for the sticks. He's out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Corey Chavis made the tackle, and Paula saw it coming and checked into the right play.
See, again, your veteran quarterbacks can do this. All of a sudden, they look up line of scrimmage, and they tip off that the backer's up tight, backer on the outside. There's 8 people in the box. All of a sudden, Ron Paulus says, I've got a better chance of going back outside with the little quick screen. That's a play they ran on their own goal line and get the ball outside. So may not show up in the record book, but it was an excellent call by Ron Paulus.
2nd and a yard. Edwards to get the first down and more. Barrels inside the 15-yard line. First down, Irish. The storyline from Vanderbilt Stadium. Notre Dame has turned it over 4 times on 7 fumbles. Vanderbilt with 2 turnovers. Notre Dame dominating statistically, but Yoder on a 50-yard touchdown catch on the 3rd and 37 play has given Vanderbilt the lead in the 4th quarter. It's 7-6, 6:38 to go. 1st and 10 Notre Dame, well within field goal range already. Edwards again, just trying to wear out that Vanderbilt defense. He pounds to the 10.
Mike Rosenthal, the big guard, 6'7", 302, gets a good split here. Look at the split between the guard and tackle. What they're trying to do is widen the defensive linemen so that they can run the football, create a hole before the snap of the ball. See, the hole's already created. Mark Edwards is able to run inside there for good yardage. 2nd and 7 as we approach 6 minutes. Notre Dame with its national championship hopes already on the line in the first game at Vanderbilt. Denson straight up the middle, inside the 5 to the 4. Autry Denson brought down by Jamie Duncan. Close to another first down. A good call again by Vanderbilt's defense because they knew they were going to run over here, so they're going to bring a linebacker on a stunt. But what they didn't count on is Autry Denson to cut it back. See, he ran right into the blitz, but he was able to cut it back because a good block by Rich Krasinski to center opened it up. This is the kind of drive you expect out of 9 seniors, a veteran offensive football team with a veteran quarterback.
3rd and a yard. Denson behind Edwards. Denson didn't look like he was going to get it, but great second effort. Should have a first down inside the 3.
Mike, you made the point earlier about defensively. The number of plays that the defense has been on the field tonight, they have just played extraordinary. And you've got to wear it down eventually. And that's, again, that big line weighs on you the entire ball game. They're going to gain an advantage as you get late in the ball game. Something wrong with the scoreboard here because they've got too much time on Vanderbilt. I know that Notre Dame's threatening, but they moved it back up to 14 minutes here.
We were under 5 minutes, so I'm guessing it might be 4:50 instead of 14:50, but I think it's even less than that. Notre Dame now with 23 first downs to only 4 for Vanderbilt, and the officials have stopped the clock to check on the scoreboard. Obviously malfunction, and Notre Dame with 81 plays to 34 for Vanderbilt. Mike, no matter how good you are, you eventually wear down, no matter how much adrenaline is pumping out there.
Good point, Mike. And remember, most of the defensive players you see on the field for Vanderbilt play on special teams, too. So add to those 81. You know, it was a big play in this drive was when Ron Paulus hit Johnson on Malcolm Johnson when that big long yardage situation to keep this drive alive. But you expect that out of a senior quarterback. Guy's been around for a while. Make plays.
They have reset the clock to 5:15, and I'm just trying to go on my memory. It was under 5 minutes. Maybe 4:40, something like that.
scorekeepers from Vanderbilt. We need a little more time here.
First and goal. Edwards. Touchdown. Edwards followed Jamie Spencer, and they gave it to the big fullback to pound it in. Now they'll go for 2.
Just wore him down, Mike. Just wore down the front of Vanderbilt. Ran behind Mike Dowdy, Mike Rosenthal, the 2 big 6'8", 6'7" guard and tackle. Mark Edwards coming right in your living room. Good blocking.
And Mike, you made a great point about the veteran leadership on this team. The seniors had to step up. I mean, if you lose the opening game at Vanderbilt, you can forget the national championship no matter what you do from then on.
Well, there's no doubt, and you're put in a situation. This game's going to help both these teams, but it's going to help Notre Dame because they've come of age with that drive.
Now they'll go for 2. Denson is back in to play tailback, with Edwards back to his traditional fullback slot. And it's the fullback Edwards for 2.
Wore him down. Why not go for a 2-point play where you're coming off the ball with a good running play?
Notre Dame, in the face of adversity, cranks it up on that drive and takes a 14-7 lead. Big runs on that drive at the end of it as Notre Dame takes a 14-7 lead. Ron Paulus, 5 out of 5, 61 yards, so he got 61 of the 75. And a 14-play drive that knocked almost 6.5 minutes off the clock. Sampson to kick. Charlie from the 2. Remember the last big return by Vanderbilt. Not this time, as Charlie is parried as he got out to the 25-yard line.
Another look at the touchdown. Put Notre Dame ahead. Watch these linemen just come off. Mike Dowdy, Pete Kriplevich, Mike Rosenthal, using that size, and they've just wore down the Vanderbilt defense to knock that ball in the end zone.
The last time Vanderbilt had the football, they hit a 50-yard bomb on 3rd and 37.
Well, I'm sure Bob Davies told his defense it's time to get a turnover for Notre Dame right now. Let's get an interception and try to put this thing away.
Damian Allen straight back to throw under pressure again. Throws, and it's dropped. Tavares Hogan hit him right in the chest. And Allen under pressure again.
In fairness to Vanderbilt and Rob Dowhauer and his offense, you're going to see a lot better offense out of Vanderbilt as they go along, but they're starting freshman receivers. I mean, guys who were in high school last year. And you've got a relatively inexperienced quarterback in Damian Allen. So you've got a young offensive team that just hasn't come of age yet.
Allen, 8 out of 15 for 100 yards, the interception, and that big touchdown. Vanderbilt's offense has managed only 4 first downs tonight against an overwhelming Notre Dame defense. But Vanderbilt has sure made it interesting, haven't they? Throw underneath to Baker. The H-back has the first down across the 35-yard line.
That was a good throw with time. Now the offensive line gave Damian Allen time to find Fred Baker, who played his first 2 years at Vanderbilt as a wide receiver. 95, he caught 7 passes. Damian Allen with good time. Notre Dame with a 3-man rush. The ball thrown right over the middle to Fred Baker for the first down.
Here's that prevent defense that people hate.
I still think you're going to see Notre Dame pick off a pass here. I think Notre Dame's in pretty good position. I think Bob Davie will put some pressure on Damian Allen, and
here it comes. They throw it out in the flat. Donovan, the H-back. Nice move to get away. Donovan on his feet. Monster football recovered by Notre Dame. Donovan had a first down near midfield on a 15-yard game, and then trying for extra yardage, had it knocked away the 3rd Commodore turnover. Ivory Covington, the man who made the recovery. Oh, that was a huge play both ways.
We talked about Vanderbilt's defense all night, but Notre Dame's defense has played equally well. Jason Donovan trying to get extra yardage. There's the hit by Johnny Sanders, who's had an excellent game in the secondary. Ivory Covington with the recovery, and Notre Dame got the turnover they were looking for.
7 turnovers in this ball game, and now Notre Dame with a chance to put it away. Denson, as they'll just try to grind it out. Denson down to the 35-yard line. Another first down. Coverage of the PGA Tour and the Bell Canadian Open continues tomorrow. The PGA's newest, most exciting pro, Tiger Woods, at 2 under par opening round, but he is 6 shots off the lead. Second and third round coverage tomorrow and Saturday at 4 Eastern. The final round at 5 on Sunday, all on ESPN. Donovan with the fumble. They can only think what might have been.
And he's going to have to carry the load for this offense the entire year, so he's going to have better days ahead.
Denson. A gain of maybe 2, and Eric Vance, back from those cramps, comes ripping up from his safety spot. But it's a first down for the Irish.
Both these teams are going to have good years, Mike. Notre Dame, we know with their schedule that they've got a veteran football team. They expect to win a lot of ball games. But Vanderbilt has served notice tonight that they're going to be a pretty good football team. Now, they've got to get their offense, again, some age to them, and they will be all right because this defensive football team is solid.
And nobody's going to want to play against that defense. Edwards will get the carry, just pounds it straight ahead. Remember that Vanderbilt used up a couple of timeouts early in the half, so they have only 1 left. Matt Schuckman with the tackle. That's Music City, USA, the skyline of Nashville. And the aerial shots provided by the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron with us tonight.
This is the way to open Thursday night football.
Isn't it ever?
Excellent game.
Notre Dame dominated statistically, but on a 3rd and 37 play, Vanderbilt scored to take a 7-6 lead in the 4th quarter. And now Notre Dame just trying to run out the clock. They have a 2nd and 9. Edwards moves the pile forward to near the 26-yard line. Stay tuned for Sports Center. Get you updated on the U.S. Open and the press conference for Tyson and Selden, their upcoming heavyweight fight. And baseball's wild card race. That is really, really heating up. And Vanderbilt has taken its last timeout to stop the clock with 1:59. So now Notre Dame with a chance to run it out.
Mike, what's important in college football, the way the bowls set up right now, because the higher ranked teams get the top 3 bowls. So you expect teams to try to score a lot of points, and you may see a lot of big scores. And all of a sudden Notre Dame opens up highly ranked. It beats Vanderbilt team that won a couple games last year, and people do not hold a lot of respect for nationally right now. They will after tonight, but this could hurt Notre Dame a little bit in the ratings. Now, of course, it's Notre Dame. It's different.
Good point.
Yeah, but it's different. But you got to remember as the season goes along that everybody's trying to get up in that top 5, 6 spots for the bigger bowl games and the more money.
Lou Holtz has always said that we're always overrated at the beginning of the season and underrated at the end of the season.
Spoken like a true coach.
1:59 to go in the game. It will be a 3rd and 3 for Notre Dame. And Vanderbilt may have to sell out on defense in the next 2 plays if they have any hope of getting the football back. Edwards, and they did, or Denson got it, they did sell out. Everybody just crashed through, and they may have to do the same thing on 4th down, but they can't stop the clock anymore. 1:47 and counting.
Mike, again, you talk about being in someone's headset. Woody Woodenhofer, they came out in 2 tight ends with a flanker. He calls a blitz. He's going to blitz to the left side. You're going to see Jamie Duncan move right to that side. They get penetration and never allow Autry Denson to get up the football field.
4th and 5. The play clock is down to 9. Paul is taking as much time off of it as he can. And jumping from the middle was Smith, the nose man. and he may have just given Notre Dame a first down and the game.
Well, the veteran quarterback, again, he's going up to the line of scrimmage. He makes an inflection in his voice. Maybe hasn't used that quick count the entire game. Draws off a tired Jason Smith. Remember, again, this is a defense that's been on the field for a long time. But you watch the head of Ron Powell as he makes a little bit of a call. He drags him right over there with that call.
Back in the neutral zone by the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, creates a first down.
Jason Smith, the sophomore from Birmingham, Alabama. He has a big future here. 6'2", 295, only a sophomore. But that does make it a first down, and now Vanderbilt can only watch Notre Dame run out the clock. And I tell you what, I've got to tip my hat to Lou Holtz at this point. You don't want to do anything stupid, but you were talking about the point differential. You want to run it up. He's not trying to score here.
No, he wants to get out of here with a win. And he has the respect of the Vanderbilt football team. Lou Holtz knows he's been in a fight tonight.
Denton just making sure he hangs on to the football in that swarming Vanderbilt defense with another tackle. In a capsule, Lou Holtz. Some of the things that have happened to him tonight. First down inside the 20-yard. First, it's College Game Day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I got to about the 24-yard line. Not easy over there, is it?
No, but Lou has a lot of words to say during a ball game. A lot of walking, a lot of words to say. Now they're just going to quarterback sneak. And
13 seconds to go in the game. And Notre Dame will thank its lucky Irish Stars that they can walk out of Nashville, Tennessee with a 14-7 opening game win after a tremendous performance by both defenses. And Lou Holtz is going to go find Rod Dowhauer. Once again, the final score, Notre Dame 14, Vanderbilt 7. For Mike Gottfried and Dr. Jerry Punch and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. And this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.